This is why you pay your money to come. This is delivering the goods.
Kick the goal, my boy! Yes, sir!
It's very, very wide. It's
no.
very, very good. Who would have thought?
The man is unstoppable when he's in this sort of mood. He is unbelievable.
Right foot from the boundary, rolling, bouncing. It couldn't.
Yes.
Of course it could.
She's Red Rover. This is going to be a big number.
He played on and he's caught holding the ball. Oh, Mark.
We've all been there.
Ambition and ability, something like that. He was confused.
Well, if that's his game plan, forget me.
The coaching staff and players will have their acid put on based on their ability to compete physically and mentally in what is a brutal contest.
Grandstand AFL.
100% pure footy.
His hand pass intercepted. Notting goes for goal and kicks it.
Montagna, he crosses 50 from out near the boundary. He kicks a goal.
And here's Swan. Nobody picks him up. He marks. He kicks the goal. I'll give you a tip. If you don't pick this fella up, he'll get 50 and he'll kick 8 goals on you.
Johnson's there. He's in that pocket again. He holds the ball in play, runs into the open goal.
Grandstand AFL
on ABC Local Radio.
It's an afternoon of intrigue. Saturday at the MCG, Geelong and Hawthorn, and I don't think anyone quite knows what to expect. Is the Hawks' resurgence real and sustainable? And how precisely are the Cats going? I fancy we'll get the answer to both of those questions as these two rivals square up in round 17. Gerard Whateley with you for Grandstand AFL. A little overcast and the breeze is certainly disturbing the flags on top of the scoreboard, but you wouldn't complain about the stage we are being set. Drew Morfitt, it's going to be all right.
Yeah, Gerard, that's the best thing about sport. You don't know what to expect, and the next 3 hours will tell us something. That's why you pay your money and you turn up. Mind you, last night nearly 85,000 turned up. They didn't expect Carlton to kick 4 goals for the entire night.
416. No, that wasn't befitting the people that turned up. Hopefully this afternoon will be considerably better. But there are theories in abundance. Maybe Geelong are being trained by Bart Cummings and maybe Hawthorn are coming like Kiwis. Stan Els, hello.
Hello to you, Gerard. I tell you what I do know. There'll be an enormous tension down the rooms at the moment. I think there'd be players, there'll be coaches, support staffs will be on tenterhooks. There's no doubt because of the significance of this game for all the reasons we've talked about. It's just an amazing thing, is it, the whole season. 3 to 4 weeks ago, the Hawks were shot, absolutely gone, and the Cats were invincible. We know we're going to win every game, and now all of a sudden we've got a situation where on the basis really of one game and a quarter, Hawthorn are back, and they're supposed to be fantastic, and in a lot of people's minds will go in today as a real chance to win. Whereas you're right, where are the Cats at? We're at that the little cracks that appear in the veneer. They just haven't got it together, and so as you just said, I would think that the coaches, you can just imagine the pressure on the coaches just getting their players ready for this game. Not that you'd want to, because there is genuine rivalry. Make no bones about this side. And the Cats will have memories about September last year when they thought that this was a game that was there for the takings, and yet they were really rattled to the core. So I'm just looking forward to this. This will be a super game. This will be just a fraction better than last night.
Mark McClure, hello.
How are you guys? 85,000 people turned up. And they all went home pretty early, I would have thought.
There weren't many Carlton people at the end, were there?
If it wasn't physically, it was mentally.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's exactly right. Look, I thought it was a sensational crowd. This is a great weekend for football in Melbourne. We've got some ripping games. This ground's going to have 65,000 today and then 70 again tomorrow. You know what I mean? It's going to be sensational. And I hope the footy lives up to it. I hope today the game lives up to what the crowd expectation is, because I think it will. I loved what I saw last week with Hawthorn. Hodge back in the middle made a big difference. Surioli back in the game. Incredibly great players to watch, and they bring people to the game. Franklin, 5 goals, and just sensational stuff.
And Greg Baum rounds out our team as senior sports writer with the Age newspaper. Greg, hello.
Hi, Jared. Drew all. Yeah, terrific to be here. And I guess, although I rejoiced in the outcome last night, but I understood that for 2 quarters it wasn't anything to watch at all. except tactically intriguing. I mean, both sides loaded up the back line and no one seemed to know how to get through it. Carlton, to me, seemed to take the attitude that if they kept enough pressure on Collingwood for long enough, the pies would break, and it just never happened. And in the end, it broke the other way.
That man back.
Yeah.
That man back in front of Favola works 9 times out of 10.
Oh, of course it does, as long as you've got nobody else leading up.
We haven't got anyone.
Well, nobody does. I mean,
that's where the coach has got to change a few things.
Well, it's the whole point.
There must have been some other way around it. I mean, it just wasn't working. When you only kicked 3 goals to three-quarter time.
But it never will. We keep saying this all the time, that if you play against Carlton, what do you know? That you just allow the opposite. They're not going to kick it to anybody else, so we're just going to zone off and get in front of him. There were so many opportunities last night where they could have gone to other people, but we noticed when Collingwood come in the forward line, they've got about 4 or 5 different options leading up, so they're always going to be a chance.
That's when they've got to move Fev up the ground. Just get him out of the way, put someone else down there and change the whole dynamic completely. Pick up the man on the way through and take him somewhere else, and maybe play with a 7-man forward line. Who cares?
Yeah.
Does it actually matter? Doesn't matter at all.
There wouldn't be many
They've got to try things.
Wouldn't be many games where a team averages nearly 100 possessions per goal. That is overusing the football and wasting everyone's time.
Well, they had more inside 50s.
Well, they were pretty consistent. They kicked a goal every quarter.
Oh, magnificent.
I think they hit the post every quarter too.
Yeah.
They appear to have these revealing losses, I think, Carlton. They may or may not finish 7th or 8th. I think they probably will, but they do seem severely limited if you thought they were going to be able to make a surge up the ladder, even in the next year or two. They have frailties.
Yeah, we see with most sides that Carlton's actually built itself on not having a full forward. I mean, we've won 16 premierships with one bloke who's kicked 100 goals, and that's Alex Yzelenko, and that's it. And so the game plan is to have multiples. And you said with Collingwood, Stan just said with Collingwood, they've got 5 or 6 go-to players. And it makes it very difficult for defenders to handle that. Whereas you set up for Carlton, you just set up for Fev. Because if he gets 9, we win, or they win. And I shouldn't say we, they win. And if he doesn't get any, guess what? They lose. It's amazing. It's just a simple thing. And was he switched on last night? You were here.
He just came up against a superior opponent, and the delivery was awful.
And he got frustrated. Yeah. And you just saw it, and outwardly, he just appeared to just lose interest in the whole thing because he just was frustrated by the situation.
Well, tell us about quarter time.
Well, I'm just going on that little bit of vision where when one of the line coaches, obviously looked like it was Matthew Lappin, was trying to get a point across, and we were a long way away from it. But Fev was back from the circle. He wasn't in close in, and all he did was just shake his head, and it wasn't in the affirmative. He was not agreeing with his line coach.
Can I just interrupt for a sec here? We've just had the team lists in, and there's been a lot of speculation. Will Gary Ablett play or not? He is playing. No change to either side. So, Cats fans, you've still got time to jump in the car and get to the MCG because Gaz is playing.
The other fascination last night, Jared, I thought was about Collingwood's coaching. I thought it was a triumph for Malthouse last night. He won the strategic battle. You got great games out of Lee Brown and Tuvey, 2 guys who've been under a lot of pressure for being played by him. In a week where it continues to be speculation about what happens to him next year, what happens to him and Buckley next year, I guess it says something about the mettle of the man and his ability to pull out a performance like that in that context.
And add to that, coming off being smashed. The week before they were absolutely smashed, annihilated physically and mentally by Hawthorn. And so that was a wonderful coaching effort by Malthouse.
What's going to happen with Buckley? Is he actually going to say, I want to coach, or is he just going to sit there? Do what he's doing.
I think he's genuinely in about 3 minds at the moment. He hasn't given a final answer to anybody, not even Hawthorn.
What about if I've ever heard of anyone attracting or trying to lure a coach like this, like North Melbourne have, and they might end up with egg all over their face because they didn't get their man.
I agree.
And no one's ever gone, they're all over him like a rash, and he's not saying anything. You want someone who actually wants to coach, don't you?
And is he playing them all against each other? Because he said, I've got a lot of options.
I don't think he is,
does go with the nickname Fig Jam. Does it come into what's going on with his coaching aspirations?
Oh, I don't think that's plays any part.
I think there are just so many people in his ear. He's supposed to have given North an answer by Monday, I think, and yet apparently he's talking to Richmond later next week. Well, he can't give North an answer other than no on Monday if that's the case.
Oh, there's a fair chance he's just hoping the dice fell that he would get Collingwood. But Mick's doing too good a job.
I reckon we'll come back to this, but the president of Hawthorne, Jeff Kennett, has been good enough to join us. Jeff, welcome to Grandstand.
Thank you. Great pleasure. A bit of a dilemma, isn't it, for all involved?
You are one man who ruled Buckley out. That was forthright of you.
Yes, well, there was no doubt about it. But I admire Nathan. I think he'll make a wonderful coach. And seeing you asked my opinion, I'll give it to you.
You're good at that.
I think he's starting to damage his own brand by letting this go on indefinitely. You either, I would have thought, want to be a senior coach and you accept the North or Richmond job and get on with it, or you just bow out. I mean, Vossi is proving what a good coach he is. He's a first-time coach, doing very, very well. I think Nathan has the potential to be a better coach. But I think the way this is dragging out now is damaging his brand more than it is any of the clubs. So I think Nathan's got to make a decision.
Couldn't agree more.
He's either going to be a senior coach of a AFL team, otherwise he may as well stay in the media and do whatever he wants to do.
Do you remember when Vossi did this, though? He did exactly this 2 years before.
Yeah, but I don't think he did it quite like this. I mean, he made a decision that he was going to stay out, and then he said, well, opportunity came when Lee threw in the towel. And they moved quickly, and he responded quickly.
It was a bit of both, wasn't it? Because he actually went to West Coast. He was signed up
as an assistant
and had moved.
But I think this is, I mean, it amazes me. There's only 3 positions. One's an assistant, and 2 are coaches. Do you want to be a coach, or do you want to be an assistant?
Jeff, your club, you've provided...
My coach will be there for a long period of time.
Yeah, so I don't doubt that for a moment.
Last year does get him a few credits, doesn't it?
Your commentary throughout the year has been interesting to your members, which we are privileged to
I don't know quite what you mean by that.
You almost brought on a review at some point, and things have turned. I'm curious...
No, not a review. No. I stated quite clearly at one stage I was very unsatisfied with the performance of our... football department, and I said that because, like any good business, we have 52,500 members, shareholders, and in corporate Australia, when circumstances change beyond 10% up or 10% below, you've got to report back to the markets what and the reason for the variance. We weren't performing well, and our members are entitled to know what we're thinking. If we're going to keep them next year, they will. And they do respect our transparency. So it wasn't as though we're going to do a review. We were simply saying, guys, you've had half a year, lift your game.
How have you read the last 5 quarters of football, and is it sustainable change?
Is it sustainable? As I sit here today on the eve of playing Geelong, it's sustainable. Will it occur? No idea. Look, I think the game against North Melbourne in Tassie, in the most atrocious conditions, but the surface of the ground was wonderful, absolutely wonderful. Was the first time I've seen our guys this year with a glint in their eyes, and they really had a glint. And Buddy Franklin went in tackling from the first bounce, as did a number of other players. The following week against Collingwood here, last week in better weather circumstances, the glint was still there, they got a better result. Whether we can do it 3 weeks in a row, I don't know, but there is a hunger. Whether they're hungry enough, time will tell. I think we've now got to win every game to be a champ.
Does the turnaround, is it just a fluke that it coincides with Cyril Rioli's return?
No, I don't think so. I think it's more the fact that the team has melded together. As you would know, when you've got a team that played in a grand final, they all know how they relate to each other on the field, off the field, but particularly on the field. When injuries take out a lot of players, 8 to 9 at some stage, you bring in young fellas, that's wonderful for them, but they've got to learn how to coordinate with each other. And the coach always said, going into at the start of the year, if we're 6-6 at the turn, we'll be doing well. And I think we got to 6-6. We could have actually been a bit better than that, but we blew a couple of games. We expected to do better in the second half of the year, but the first 2 games were appalling, absolutely appalling. Footscray, I was overseas, I was trying to get the score on my BlackBerry. I thought my BlackBerry had gone wrong. 2 points in the first quarter and 4 in the second, or 4 in the half time. But we knew we had to do the time. But we're in a vulnerable position now because we've really got to win every game to give ourselves a chance.
Jeff,
we know about the injuries, and that's been talked, but I'm interested, you talked about the glint in the eye, was back last week. Is that part of the reason that perhaps even for the senior players are okay, the glint in the eye was not there and the commitment to go with that glint?
I think that's right, and that in part is because some of those senior players came out of the end of last year having had minor surgery. I mean, Buddy Franklin had 2 bites, and he wasn't ready. He didn't do a full pre-season, and you would know, and I think I've now come to absolutely accept, if you want to be a competitor, a serious competitor in a football year, your team have got to have put in a full pre-season, and we didn't do that. So our guys have been recovering. We've still got some sore bodies out there, but it was so noticeable down in Tassie, in the rooms beforehand, the way they went in for the ball from the moment the bounce.
Not just the last quarter when Buddy kicked forward. He was up for it from the start.
Yeah, they were. Yeah. And it was a struggle. It was a tough game. But in that last quarter, they just broke free. But they'd been consistently applying themselves all day, as had North Melbourne, to their credit.
Just want to ask, after the Bulldogs match, there was a meeting, was there not, at the club, which was something of a meeting of the minds to work out what had gone wrong and what the direction was. Did you come back early from overseas to make sure you were at that meeting?
You're wrong on 2 counts.
Okay.
One, there was no meeting at the club. There may have been. If there was, I didn't know about it, so you may be right. Did I come back early? No, I came back when I scheduled to come back, and there was a meeting, but it was at my offices, not at the club. And it was just, as I normally do, meet with a coach, meet with other board members, meet with Ian Robson, Mark Evans, football development, and we just talked about where we were. And again, the coach said, hold your nerve, we're going to come through this. And I think he's been proven correct again.
Jeff, the Tasmanian thing, it's been fantastic for your football club. Generated a lot of money. Will it continue, or are they going to try and get their own side? You must have had some dialogue with them.
Yes, it will continue, I'm very sure. We've got to go through the process in the second quarter next year of the contract and how it's going to be made up, etc. Can I say, I think it's wonderful for AFL football.
Oh, yeah.
Because that group of people, 480,000 Tasmanians, are more passionate per capita for their football than any other population in any other state of Australia. They're not going to have their own team in the short term, because the AFL want to establish 2 others elsewhere, but I think really because the cost of putting a competitive team on the field today is probably 30 million. You can put a team on the field for 20, 22, 23, but they're not going to compete. You don't want to have a team down there that loses and is just them held up as the bouncing ball for everyone else. So I think the relationship between Hawthorne and Tasmania, the AFL, has been a wonderful representation of things AFL of the code in Tasmania. To give you an illustration of how important it is for us at Hawthorne, 3 years ago, Auskick, 7% of all children supported or wore Hawthorne outfits. Today, 26% do.
In Tassie?
In Tassie.
It's fantastic.
Now, that once you make your alignment with a team, you tend to stick with them for life. So we've got 7,000 members in Tassie now. We are the biggest club or association of any group of people in Tassie.
Are you going to give them more games?
It's not up to us to give them. That's up to the AFL, and you've heard them squealing the other day about attendances and blaming Tassie. But if we get to 18 teams that is, we get the Gold Coast and Western Sydney, I think an argument for a 5th game in Tassie is quite realistic. But without the 2 extra teams, we've got to respect our membership here and respect our membership in other states of Australia. But if we get the other 2 teams, I would argue very strongly for a 5th team, fifth game.
You've got St Kilda down there in a couple of weeks. Sandra Demetrio was here last week to say that was probably a fixturing mistake. You've been outspoken about that, but why is you wrong? That game here could draw 60 or 70,000 people.
The AFL should never all be about money. It should never all be about attendances, and it should never all be about the viewing audience. It's got to be about the quality of the code, if the code is going to grow and grow strongly in the years to come. My argument is Tasmania, that population, is an important part of the AFL family. They are entitled to, I think, once every 4.5 years for every Victorian club to play in Tasmania. Where St Kilda will be a sellout, it's only 20,000, but it'll be a sellout. There are a lot of St Kilda members in Tassie. Why can't they see their team once every 4.5 years. There's 10 teams in Victoria. Take us out of it, that leaves 9.5. The contract says 2 Victorian teams, 2 interstaters each year. So say 2 teams a year, that's 4.5 years you could rotate every club for one appearance, including Collingwood. I mean, you want to nurture the goodness of the code. You want to nurture the family concept of the competition. And I think the league would be well advised not to argue that, oh yes, if we'd played St Kilda here, we would have had more people. That's true. But the reality is, if you have a look at the attendances this year, there's been a lot of shocking attendances on the mainland with interstate clubs and Melbourne clubs. And the AFL, although they didn't say it in that article, they tried to move a game from Etihad to here because when they set the schedule, they didn't appreciate which teams were going to be competitive, 6 months on into the year. So you can't be perfect, but I think you can be cognizant of the fact that if this code is going to remain strong and grow, you've got to respect your public.
Do you think the draw's fair in the way it's put together?
I don't know how else you'd do it. I mean, look, you favour the bigger teams which have the biggest drawing capacity, like Collingwood and Carlton. I mean, that game last night was 80,000 people. Fantastic.
Yeah.
So it's not easy for the AFL, but I don't think they should whinge about... I mean, all the clubs are being asked within the next 3 weeks to put in our submission for next year's schedule. Now, however much we know about football today, I have no idea which team is going to be playing well next year. We try and get a mix in Tassie. We try and get good games here. I feel particularly sad for the teams at the bottom of the ladder, particularly the Melbourne teams at the moment for the next 3 years, when all the drafting is going to flow to the 2 new interstate clubs, because they're also penalised in terms of when they play. And if they want to try and lift themselves, they need times that gives them better exposure, time to get their members along. But this is a challenge for the AFL. They'll never get it completely right.
Jeff, what about the actual scheduling with Thursdays and Mondays and things like that? What's your thoughts in terms of that? I'm not a
Thursday friend, unless it's a long weekend. I'm certainly not a Monday friend. I mean, I still, you'll never get it, but I liked it when you knew when you were going to the footy. And it used to be on Saturdays. And we'd all go and we'd put it in our diaries and the rest of the time was free. Now, of course, you look at your diary and it's Friday night or it's Saturday or it's Sunday. It makes a big difference. But I understand that's part of change. So I'm quite happy to accept Friday night, Saturday and Sunday. I do not like the evening games on Sunday. I think when you have an evening game and you've got children there and you've got to get back home, it makes it a bit harder. But I certainly don't like Mondays and Thursdays.
And another part of change is South West Sydney. How the hell did the Commission get the club's imprimatur for South West Sydney?
Drew, I think, although there's a lot of reservation, I think the reality is, in a business, radio station, unless you keep introducing new ingredients, unless you keep attempting to grow, you run the risk of standing still. If you stand still, then others will overtake you. So unless they decided that they're going to have only 17 teams and therefore every club will have a bye on top of the week off, they had to go for 18 teams. It's very ambitious. It's going to be very expensive. But I think you'll be surprised at how many people out in the Western Sydney come our way. And I say that. I was speaking to a friend of mine who's a professional golfer the other day, and I never thought he'd be interested in football, and he's not a Hawthorne man. He's a Footscray. He said, I think it's fantastic. He said, the AFL has such a much better reputation in how it disciplines itself, how it grows its code, and what's all the other things that are happening with the other football codes in New South Wales. If you want to be part of something good that does have a discipline, that does have values, the AFL code leaves all the rest for dead, except perhaps soccer. The big challenge for us in Western Sydney will be if we actually win the rights to hold the World Soccer Cup. 2018-2022, because the focus of attention then will be very much on soccer for all those years, and there'll be a lot of attention played to that at the time that we're trying to establish the cup. Is it worth it? I think it's a manageable risk that I think is worth taking, although I accept it's going to be very expensive.
Jeff, can I ask you a couple of questions about your own tenure? I think you're on the record as saying that presidents have a natural term of office at a club and shouldn't go beyond that. Do you still hold to that?
Absolutely, but I'm only speaking about myself. I'm not speaking about other presidents. They can do whatever they like. I have come to the view after my years of experience in a number of jobs that after 6 or 7 years, if you've worked at it hard, you've probably expended most of your creativity and you should allow someone else to have a go. So I changed the constitution at Hawthorne, and unless they change it back after I go, no president can stay more than 6 years. So I will finish up at the end of the year 2011.
The other question is you've never been afraid to weigh in on football department matters. It stirs things up. Seemingly this season it's galvanised the club. Do you worry that it could possibly destabilise the club at any time?
No, we're so strong. We've got such good discipline. We have such good values. The footballers, the football department, they're all employed by us, right? The only ones who are elected are the board. And we're elected to represent the interests of the members. And you should never forget that no coach, no captain, no player is bigger than the membership. And the reason I've changed the term of a president is to make sure that I never get myself in a position where I am bigger than the club. 6 years, all endeavour, move on, let someone else take over and add their skills. But as I say, I'm answerable to the members. None of these players, football departments they're employed by us. And you've got to understand the corporate governance responsibilities. Now, that's not to say I go out to upset them. And we work very closely together. But on the other hand, I do speak frankly. We have got more members than any other club in Australia. I mean, that's not a bad achievement, an all-time record for an AFL club. It's not because our supporters don't appreciate us. They do. They appreciate our values, they appreciate our transparency and our frankness.
Can I leave the hardest hitting question till last?
Yes, Drew.
You first revealed on grandstand the satin lining to the jacket.
Yes.
With the brown and gold.
Yes.
And later that day you won and you reversed it and there it was for all to see. Today you've got the Hawthorn Footy Club shoes, the like of which I haven't seen before. Are you the only president in the league wearing his club shoes?
Yes. And the jacket has been retired to the museum. If the listeners of the ABC could stand this little risque story, I'm prepared to tell it to them.
Is it a short one?
I'll keep it down to an hour and a half. I was here at the MCG in the male urinal and going about my business, and the man at the next urinal said to me, "Oh, Jeff," he said, "I've got a friend who'd like to make you a pair of shoes." I said, "Oh, mate, do you mind? I'm focusing on what I'm doing." He said, "Yes, I've got a man at Castlemaine I'd like to make it." I said, "Look, I really don't need anything." He said, "But it'll go with the jacket." I said, "I hate the jacket. I've had enough of the jacket. I'm going to retire the jacket as soon as I've won the premiership." Anyway, to cut a long story short, to shut him up, I said, he asked me what size I was, 10.5. And that was it. About 6 weeks later, these shoes came. They've been handmade. They are the most comfortable shoes. I've been trying to find the guy in Castlemaine who made them. So if you're listening, sir, please give me a ring and get in touch with me, because there's a huge backlog of orders. Not only among Hawthorn supporters, but others as well.
I'm a size 12.
Yeah, well, look at them. They're so comfortable.
They're beauties.
They're wonderful. They're beauties.
Where would you wear them?
Where would I wear them? Only to football matches and Hawthorn function.
Perhaps you could set the tone for us for the day, Jeff, as you leave, because we did speak on the eve of the season and I asked you about Geelong and your comments actually became...
and they've been reverberating around my head ever since.
What's your opinion of Geelong as you come here today?
Wonderful club. Stunning. Stunning. Love their president, love their coach, love all their players. But I love mine more. In fact, that's not right. I don't love any player or any coach. But Geelong is very similar to us. They've got good values. They've built up a wonderful team. Frank Costa has brought them out of bankruptcy and they're now strong and viable. So there's a lot to like about these two teams. Round 17 last year won us the premiership. We could have won that game. A silly mistake by Luke Hodge and Brownie. In the last few minutes, we lost it by a few points. We came off the ground. They were so upset, but they knew if we made the grand final with Geelong, we could beat them. We lost again at the start of the year. Again, silly mistakes, but good game. This will be important. I don't know who will win. I hope we see a good match. Geelong have nothing to lose. Hawthorn have to win. if we don't win, then it makes our season very, very difficult. Whereas Geelong will be there. So, who knows? May the best team win.
That's what lies ahead of us this afternoon on Grandstand AFL. Jeff Kennett, the president of Hawthorne, thank you.
Thank you very much for coming.
Both teams warming up on the MCG. Up next, we'll have a chat with injured cat Steve Johnson.
I went out on Saturday night. Stayed up late. I went to a ladies' club.
Red Simons.
The Lyceum. What'd you do? Looked out the window where you could see into the Melbourne Club. Imagine what it was like to be a lady.
From 5:30am each weekday.
A lot of ABC people there. Libby Price was here.
Oh, that's a lot of ABC people, yeah.
I'll tell her you said that.
On 774 ABC Melbourne.
And on digital radio.
I might quit while I'm ahead now.
Yeah. While you're behind.
Red Simons. AFL.
Grandstand AFL Saturday on ABC Local Radio.
Both teams unchanged this afternoon, Geelong and Hawthorn. One man who would dearly love to be out there and will be soon is Steve Johnson, the injured cat. He's with us in the grandstand box. Steve, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
There's been a lot of intrigue surrounding you for the past couple of weeks. It's a chance to put the record straight. What's wrong with you and what's the diagnosis?
I've torn a muscle in my hip about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and what happened is it switched all the muscles around my hip off, and my hip was taking a fair bit of load and impinging. So I've had to train my muscles around the hip up again, and I'm probably a certainty to play next week now.
Had you been playing with it, or did it claim you immediately?
No, I played probably 2 games before I actually decided to take a bit of a rest to get it right with it, and I struggled. I was probably at 70-80% for those couple of weeks, and I just knew that there wasn't. I was pushing through and probably not saying too much about it to the medical staff because it didn't feel like much at the time, but it just kept getting worse and worse, and I went and got a scan, and it showed that I had a small tear. So I've just gone away, got it right, and I'm probably 100% to go now.
When you say you have to train your muscles, does it require you to change your gait running, or what do you precisely have to do?
There's things that do disrupt the actual hip joint when I certain things maybe kicking across my body, which are still going to probably be there for the rest of the year. I might be under a bit of discomfort, but I've had to train the muscles up so they just take a fair bit of load off the hip joint, and I think my running style might have even changed a little bit for it, so that might be a good thing.
Don't tell me you'll have to stick to the conventional.
No, I won't do that. Even if it's painful, I'll still do it.
Stephen, in terms of that, I'm interested in your rehabilitation. What have you been able to do that? Because let's face it, you're a player who covers an enormous amount of distance and running. Have you been able to keep your fitness level up while you're going through this rehab?
No, I haven't, Stan. I've actually been limited to basically doing nothing apart from small exercises every hour for basically every hour that I'm awake. So I haven't been able to do anything that requires any fitness until probably about a week ago. So hopefully it doesn't affect me too much, and I've got a good base fitness that it just comes back to me. I might blow up in the first game that I play in the first half, but generally that happens, when you've missed a bit of footy.
Hurry back. Cam Mooney needs you.
No, they're going all right. Cam's he's been pretty serviceable the last few weeks, and I think the entries into the forward line probably haven't been as good as they can be. But he did send me a text the other night saying hurry up and get back.
I bet. Now just put it on the record. Did you have a little competition about goal assists going on?
Last year? No, there was no competition. I think we just spoke about when you're in a position to give it to someone else that is in a better position to kick a goal, the higher the percentage of kicking the goal, you do it. And that was just expected from every one of our players. It just seemed that I was giving Cam more than he was giving me. So.
Can you feel a bit different this week playing against the Hawks? Can you feel the boys sort of starting to lift? Because this is a pretty dangerous game for you guys.
Yeah, I actually haven't been really involved in the team meetings this week. I've been away from the club a little bit, but I'll get no doubt that the players will be up for this game from both sides. You don't want to give a side a mental edge, and we're probably going to finish top 4, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't matter if we win. We want to win. We want to take a mental edge over Hawthorn. We want to make their chances of making the finals a little bit harder as well. So it's a huge game, and hopefully we bring our best game.
Are they a bogey side for you guys?
I don't think so. No, I think if we can focus on what we have to focus on, play our best footy. We're capable of beating it, whoever we play.
Steve, in terms of that, I'm interested in your observations of the team because you now had a chance to sit and watch them from over the other side of the fence. Where do you think you're at this point of time? And probably more importantly, are there things that you believe and the team would believe you've got 6 weeks to get it right to lead in those finals, things you need to focus on?
Yeah, I think, we probably haven't played our best footy this year, and we've been sort of waiting for our team to click, and it probably hasn't happened as well as we would have liked so far. So we are working on different things to try and get that gel going with each other. And it's hard to say. It's easy when you sit up in the stands and you look down and you can see 100 problems. But I think we've been talking about it, and we've been talking about trying different structures and different plans at different opposition, just so we're not predictable come finals time.
Your KPIs the same as last year, the same as previous, or are they better?
I think, it's hard to tell. I think.
Are your tackle counts? All the hard work?
I don't think we're ranked one in a couple of the areas where we have been in the past, and I think every side in the competition's gone up a cog in their defensive areas, and we definitely look at St Kilda as the benchmark in the defensive area, and we see ourselves as the best attacking side, but we want to have a good mix where we're almost the best at both. But at the moment we've got a lot of improvement in us coming into the last 5 weeks and then finals, so hopefully this is a day where we can get some confidence out of hopefully beating a good side and go from there.
Steve, you're having a terrific season until you got hurt. You're known for being unorthodox. I won't say freakish because that makes it sound like lucky. We saw Leon Davis pull off a couple of miracles here last night. That sort of goal, that sort of play, how much of it is practice and how much is just following your instinct in the moment?
Yeah, I think if you practice enough, instincts just take over when you get into a game, and I did see those 2 goals he kicked last night, and definitely no fluke. He would have, I think I heard him say after the game that he practices them as all forwards should, because you get into those situations, and that would have just come naturally to him. So we all practice those things, and if you, like I said, if you practice enough, it just becomes instinctive, and it's definitely no fluke.
Have you got a favourite sort of goal to kick?
My favourite kick is probably a left foot snap, but whatever goes through, whatever gets 6 points.
Across the body, over the head.
As long as it's a goal, it doesn't matter.
But will you have to be a bit more careful from what you were saying before about the nature of the injury, about trying to kick the round the body, over the head type goal? I
probably, I might feel it with certain kicks I do, but I'm pretty confident that I'll be 95 to 100% right when I get back out there. Otherwise, I could have probably gone out there today and hopefully I would have been okay, but there would have been that slight risk that I might have gone backwards. So I just want to make sure that my body's as fit as I can be, and I'm not carrying any niggling injury into the finals campaign.
Steve, you're a pretty astute footy person. We've heard you talk about footy on lots of things. I've heard you on the radio and TV and do very well. How do you think the game's evolving? It's changed a lot since you started. I mean, we've had flooding, we've had a whole host of things. Footy at the moment, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I think at the moment the most important thing is probably how you use your spare man in footy. I see Collingwood last night, they used their spare man beautifully, and they trapped Carlton every time they kicked it inside 50, and I think the other most important thing is putting that squeeze on in the defence, sides that squeeze you right up into the ground and you don't know where to go. That's where you create a lot of your attack now. Attack comes from having smart defence, and the side that can limit the entries and then counteract on the attack. They're the best sides, and St Kilda's, that's why they're up the top of the ladder at the moment, because they just squeeze the life out of you, and everyone's off their man, and it's just so easy to score.
Now, you've had a number of injuries and you've changed over. I'm just interested, who amongst the young kids, because it's breeded opportunity, who's impressed you amongst the youngsters that are coming?
Well, who is there?
Young Hogan, for a start.
Hogan's been great, and also Shane Mumford. He's one that he's just come in and he's wanted to play a role for us, and he just gives 100%, and you know what you're going to get from him. So that's all you can ask for a young player. That if he comes in and he's got a role to play, that he just gives 100% at that. We don't expect anything special from the young players as long as they come in. They know what their role is. They don't get worried about the situation and think that they have to outperform anyone else. As long as they come in and they try and play a role, that's all we want from them.
Your coach recently nominated you as one of the 2 players he thought might go on to coaching. Is that something that you have in mind?
Yeah, I think so. I think, with a lot of footballers and myself personally, footy's one thing that I know more than anything, and it's one thing I've studied all my life. Every time I go to a footy game, I probably don't just sit there and just watch the game because it's a good thing to do. I sit there and I analyse the game and I try to work out, what I'd be doing in every situation which a player's put under when he gets the ball. So it's something I'd like to do, and hopefully Kenny Hinkley gets a job somewhere so he'll so I can work for him.
Stevie, when you sit down and do a contract with the club, do you point out to them that since your club imposed ban, you came back and they hardly lost a game? Now, you've missed a few, all of a sudden the Cats lose a couple. Your winning percentage is incredible. You'd be pointing that out, wouldn't you?
Well, you can go in and do my negotiations. I've gone through. I think I'm out at the end of the year, so that'd be good. No, I think we've lost a few games where I don't think I would have made much of a difference. I would have liked to have thought maybe against St Kilda I could have, you sit in the stands and, like I said, you're a professional from the stands and you think that maybe you could have an impact in some area, but, there's been a few games there where I wouldn't have changed the outcome of the game, but it is a good stat to have, I suppose.
I'm happy to cop 10% of what you're getting.
I'll give it 2.
That would still be more. Steve, thanks for joining by. I presume no golf with a hip injury like that?
No, I've been out of golf for a month. I was just starting to play in a few competitions and get my handicap down, but no, that's off limits until I start playing footy. I don't think the coaches would like to hear that I'm missing games of footy and out bloody swinging my one wood as hard as I can like I do. So.
It's always the way. We look forward to seeing you back next week.
All right, thanks guys.
Steve Johnson with us on Grandstand AFL.
Jim, do you say pasty or pasty?
Oh, I say pasty.
You say, thank you.
Lindsay Burns.
I think I want to eat one right now.
Each weekday from 3 p.m.
I'd just like a quick word, Lindsay, about the Cornish pasty.
Oh, pasty? You can't have a conversation with someone who's called it the pasty.
Well, it has to be a pasty because we're talking about pastry. We're not talking about pastry.
On radio, online.
Oh, touche. Oh, very nice, Keith.
And digital radio.
Lindsay Burns.
Love that.
AFL.
Grandstand AFL Saturday on ABC Local Radio.
Players have finished their warm-ups and the banner's now out. Jeff Kennett and Steve Johnson, our back-to-back guests ahead of the Cats and the Hawks. Gerard Whateley, Drew Morford, Greg Baum, Stan Elves and Mark McClure for the next 10 minutes or so of pre-match. Also later on today, the Western Derby will have scores dotted through as West Coast takes on Fremantle. Piqued your interest through all of that, gents. What do you think, Greg?
I think the headline tomorrow will be out of the start of that interview where Jeff Kennett said that Nathan Buckley was damaging his brand and his future by not making up his mind, and it's probably speaking a truth that we've all felt somewhere along the way, but a man of his stature and place in the game enunciating it like that, I think it may help to speed a solution. We'll see during this week, but there's an element of truth about it.
The other thing for me was the tenure as a president, which I think was pretty strong, and just talked about not thinking that you're bigger than the club and that. I mean, you can say what you like about him. I find him fascinating, Jeff Kennett, to listen to. I just think there's so much in what he says, and there's one thing about it: he doesn't beat around the bush. He goes straight down the line, and he is a man of his convictions.
He enunciates so well. You know what? His president's addresses, or any speech he ever makes, he doesn't make any notes. He just gets up there and speaks from the heart, speaks from the top of his head, and it all comes out in a logical, no and ah fashion. That's fantastic skill, that.
I was impressed with Stevie Johnson. Yeah. I think he's a very astute player, and we heard him talk about the game, and some of his answers were fantastic.
Is he not a classic case of don't judge a book by its cover?
Absolutely.
When you watch him play and you go those things, I think that for ages we just thought he was just a guy who just went out there, had no idea of team and just did his own things and stuff like that. And then you listen to him, he's just so articulate. His thoughts on it when asked about the change in the game, I thought were absolutely fantastic. And also I love the fact, because having coached, I just know there are so many players who just play footy and don't think beyond that. But his comment that I go to a game and I don't just watch the game, I watch what's going on, I try and put myself in that position. What would I do and things like that. I just found it fascinating to listen to him talk about that.
Next time he's injured, we should try and get him in. Have a look.
Yes, I was thinking exactly the same thing.
See how good he goes at it.
Yeah, Daniel Giansyracuse is in the same boat. He did a game with us last week. He's preparing himself for coaching when his footy career is done, and he's got an excellent analytical mind, and Steve Johnson displayed precisely the same.
How does a guy with his, let's say colourful record in disciplinary matters, I mean, not in the last few years, he's been terrific for them, but how does a guy like that, when he goes into coaching, preach and impose discipline on a football team?
Well,
few have.
But I don't think you judge him on how he started. I think you judge him how he finished. And I think that he would have a wonderful rapport with so many players out there because he's been able to go through that, and you've seen what's come out the other end. I mean, that's and another thing I can just link the two. That's where Jeff Kennett said that there is an admiration from Kennett to Geelong. And it's about the principles and about the values, and it's about what they do with the people. It's not just about playing the game. And I think Steve Johnson is fantastic. I mean, and he's a credit to himself because it wasn't that long ago that Geelong tried to offload him. Because it didn't look as if he could do those things. And yet now we're talking about him in a much more positive way, how he's turned himself around. I think it's just a credit to the man.
Actually, football clubs are renowned for that. You come in, you leave a better person than you arrive there. That's what you're supposed to do. And if you do that and you win a few flags along the way and have a good time, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, Rocket E didn't have a clean slate totally when he was a player. And look at him now as a coach. And when you talk about players getting the most out of themselves from start to finish of their career, Mark McClure, perfect example, ladies and gentlemen.
In reverse.
Couldn't get anything on himself.
He hasn't straightened any part of his act up. Some sporting royalty is with us in the box. Cathy Freeman is at the footy today. Catherine, welcome to Grandstand.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Nice of you to drop by. What brings you to the footy today?
Well, apart from, watch some high, level of sporting performance, I'm here plugging the Cathy Freeman Foundation. It was just coming out of a Geelong luncheon, so talking about the Cathy Freeman Foundation.
Tell us about it.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, sure. We're only a startup, 3 years of age. We're focusing on children, working predominantly with an Indigenous community named Palm Island in far north Queensland, focusing on their well-being, self-esteem and education. And so we're developing programs so that they can essentially get the best out of themselves. So.
If you saw the 7:30 report during the week, there was a story there. Do you look at what the AFL has been able to achieve with Indigenous men and bringing them into AFL, and we have now more than 80 in the competitions, as something that sport can achieve with communities?
No, AFL are a leading beacon, actually. They really trailblaze, and you only have to look at the way they integrate the two cultures, I suppose, Indigenous and mainstream. It's wonderful. It's really incredible, and I really applaud the AFL. Fantastic.
Who do you barrack for?
I'm a bit nervous to answer that because I'm I guess at Geelong game, Geelong luncheon. But I actually follow Carlton.
You do, don't you?
Yeah.
They were horrible last night, weren't
they? I know. But I'm a Queenslander. And I inherited the Blues, so. Although I could become a Cat supporter. We'll see what happens if I play my cards right.
What about Queensland state of origin? You follow Queenslanders in that caper?
Yeah, Queensland girl. Mackay born, yeah.
Catherine, I'm interested to ask you this question. One of the things we talk about footballers today is that in so much commitment they're given, when they finish their careers, their ability to find direction afterwards. Now, you at your level, I mean, you would have to have been obsessed with what you were in your drive. How did you handle that transition?
Well, I don't think I did there at one point. I don't think I did. I mean, it's going on to 10 years next year since I raced. And, I dedicated my whole life to just running and being the best I could be in running a lap. But, geez, I tell you, I had no idea of who I was there for a while. And, it was like being in a house full of smoke and mirrors, really. So, thankfully, I had the good sense to lean on the Victorian Institute of Sport for some of their guidance.
And part of that is finding direction. Is things like your foundation. Does that help you because all of a sudden you're helping other people in their journeys?
Oh, I definitely always felt a sense of drawing on my journey to take those stories and transfer it over into something else. And part of my learning out of being an athlete was knowing that I can't do something half-hearted. It's got to be something I'm totally wholehearted about. So hence something community-orientated. Palm Island is where my mother was from. I've always been proud of my Indigenous roots. It's Palm Island's 4th disadvantaged community in Australia, and it's a tough challenge, and it's something that I'm totally dedicated to, like I was with my running.
Catherine, I know you're not a particularly political person,
No.
but during the week, Ian Thorpe in London said that Australia had a dirty little secret, and it was the way it treated its Aboriginal people. And yet there are plenty of people like yourself working to improve the lot of Aboriginal people. What did you make of those comments?
That's interesting you bring that up, because I was having a conversation with Michelle Flaskus, who actually runs the Ian Thorpe's Foundation's Fountain of Youth. She actually emailed me the speech, that very speech, that he delivered in London, and geez, yeah, you can feel his passion. He's got such gusto, and he's got so much dedication to some of the Indigenous issues, especially in this Central Desert area. So really, very inspiring, and I'd like to work with Ian, actually.
You just married into the Merch family?
Yes, thank you.
How are you finding the father-in-law?
Nigel is...
No problem with the language?
You can understand him okay?
Oh, no, there's no problem whatsoever. It's crystal clear. You always seem to know where you stand.
Where's that?
On my 2 feet, thank goodness.
And you still have a run from time to time, Catherine?
Yeah, I love running. Always will. Always will. I love just, even if it's a slow jog. I've only recently just gotten back into the gym. It doesn't look like it, and I've started on the track because I just love, it's like revisiting my childhood or something. I love it.
Enjoy the day at the footy, Catherine.
Thank you,
Thanks
I will.
for dropping by.
Thank you for having me.
May the Cats win you over.
Yes, thanks.
Catherine Freeman, who is on hand talking about the Catherine Freeman Foundation today. Apologies for the tone running in the background. It's actually the PA here at the MCG, so it's not anything we have any control over, but I understand if it is driving you completely mad. Greg, what do you think will happen?
I tend to think, this is a bit of a big statement, Joe, but I tend to think that if Geelong don't win today, they can't win the premiership. With all the challenges that are coming at them now, the fact that they've been the hunted for so long, the fact that Hawthorne have been a bit of a bogey team for them, despite what Steve Johnson says, I think they have to win today if they're to sustain their premiership challenge. Otherwise, it'll be between others.
It's good to have a theory at the start of a day. That's Greg Baums. We'll see how it all pans out shortly. Hawthorne and Geelong at the MCG after the latest from the ABC Newsroom with Alicia Byrne.
Hello, I'm John Fain. Do you know whose music this is? That's Michael Nyman, and he'll be joining me on Tuesday on the Conversation Hour. And if you'd like a chance to win tickets to see Michael in concert, go to the competition and events page at abc.net.au/Melbourne. And the question you need to answer is, what film is that music from? Join me for the Conversation Hour, weekdays from 11 on 774 ABC Melbourne.
In hospital after swimming for an hour to raise the alarm over a fatal boat accident at Cronulla in Sydney South. A man and woman drowned when the 6-metre runabout capsized in calm waters early this morning. The 32-year-old survivor is being treated for hypothermia after swimming to shore. Police are investigating whether alcohol was a factor in the accident and if a freak wave hit the boat. Protesters in Canberra are calling on the federal government to send a strong message to Iran to deport the current Iranian ambassador. Just weeks after the controversial election in Iran, the president has been pressured by the most senior conservative cleric to dismiss the newly appointed president. Protests are being held around Australia today to highlight the political situation in Iran. That's the latest from the ABC Newsroom.
Grandstand AFL.
100% pure footy.
Here's handpass intercepted. Notting goes for goal and kicks it.
Montagna, he crosses 50 from out near the boundary. He kicks the goal.
And here's Swan. Nobody picks him up. He marks, he kicks the goal. I'll give you a tip. If you don't pick this fella up, he'll get 50 and he'll kick 8 goals on you.
Johnson's there. He's in that pocket again. He holds the ball in play, runs into the open goal.
Grandstand AFL
on ABC Local Radio.
It's a match that could have serious consequences for the premiership challenges of two teams. Hawthorn, the reigning premier, who have been right to the brink and are clawing themselves back. If their form of the last 5 quarters is anything to go by, they will severely threaten Geelong this afternoon. No one's entirely sure exactly how the Cats are travelling. This is the sort of clash that might stir them into action. It's the match of the day on Grandstand AFL at the MCG. The Cats and the Hawks, as it was on Grand Final Day last year. Gerard Whateley and Drew Morford to call the action for you. Stan Elves and Mark McClure to offer all the insight and analysis. Mark, show us the way.
Thanks very much, Gerard, and great to be here. 65 plus going to turn up today. It's going to be a sensational game and probably the Hawks' last chance. And the Hawks, they're on the move. The last 2 games have been fantastic. Last week, Hodge into the middle and away they went. Their back line, very young. Very, very young. And they just, Stephen Gillum, Thomas Murphy, Ryan Schollenmakers, Xavier Ellis, very, very young players. And you throw in Birchall and Guerra to go down there as well. They've been protected last week by their strength of their midfield and the toughness of their midfield in Luke Hodge, Jordan Lewis, Chance Bateman, Sammy Mitchell and Brad Sewell. All of them run straight and hard, and that's exactly what you require from the midfield. And then you go to their forward line. Isn't it great to watch Lance Franklin and Roughhead? And then Sirioli comes on board. Campbell Brown down there to chase and tackle and do all the hard work. Ben McGlynn, terrific job last week on his man. He may get another one today. It may be Ablett. So look forward to that. And Michael Osborne, who just tidies up and kicks goals as well. They're a very, very good side, and we understand that, you know, if you're going to beat them, they play with real passion. They absolutely play with real passion. They have to. They're uncompromising. They're ruthless. Their non-stop football is just exciting to watch. And this is their last chance. It's all on the line today for the Hawks. The Cats, well, they've been the benchmark of the competition for a couple of years, and we all understand that. Their defence is such a professional line. Matty Scarlett, Darren Milburn, Andrew Mackey's turned into a really good player. Harry O'Brien, David Wojcinski with pace, and Corey Enright continues to impress every time he goes out onto the ground. Their midfield, well, they're star-studded, outstanding in a sense. Joel Corey, Cameron Ling, Jimmy Bartell, Joel Selwood and Gary Ablett. Wow, the midfield is going to be some sort of battle today, and really a brilliant sort of match-up between each other. You know, their record speaks for itself. Their forward line is the problem. They haven't got a tall who can kick a goal. Tommy Hawkins or Cam Mooney need to stand up today and really do their work, and so does Maxie Rook. Shannon Burns and Travis Farco and Paul Chapman will clean up and do all the work on the ground, but they really need to stand up and kick a goal. That's their real go. Their record speaks for itself. They need to finish off the Hawks and end their run to the final, Stan.
Mark, just a fascinating game, isn't it? To encapsulate the whole thing, to me, I look at Hawthorn and they're coming with a rush. It's amazing, isn't it? The belief systems and confidence in this game of football can just transform. And in 5 quarters of football, it's really happened. I know that game down in Tassie, they said they were hard at it early on, but it really happened in the last quarter. Played in terrible conditions. Then they come out and play Collingwood, who were setting all before them and absolutely smashed them last week, and so they're at the top of their game, and there's been some subtle changes in that, and you talked about the matchups and things like that. Just the ability, I think, to get Hodge in the midfield, as you mentioned, is just so critical, but it's a slight change because Hodge was seen as the general, the man who was setting it up, and we're going to control our game, we're going to get our rebound, set our game out coming from half back. But Schoenmakers, all of a sudden, he can go back down there, the confidence to allow Hodge to go in the midfield, and now it is, we're going to monster in the midfield, and not only that, we're going to actually attack from the centre of the ground, not through the half-back line. And Hodge goes forward. He can start to kick goals. We see Mitchell starting to kick goals. We know Sewell's an attacking player. Just the change, and their belief systems now come up against the Cats. The Cats, it's amazing. Right now, where are they at? they're experimenting. They're experimenting. They're unsure of their setup. We're talking about they've got new players coming in. They're trying different things. Their ruck set up for the first time, changing last week, going with just one sincere big ruckman and having a backup ruckman in Hawkins or perhaps Taylor coming off the half-back line. Just an amazing situation because, let's face it, 4 or 5 weeks ago, they were premiership favourites. They were winning every game. They lose a game to St Kilda. The theme coming out is the fact that it was the one we needed. It's taken the monkey off the back. Well, guess what? A couple of weeks later, the monkey's now on your back because if you lose this one today, you're not going to be good enough to win the premiership. So all these factors you put in, and it now comes down to everybody contributing, and you can go through it, you can talk about those things, but it's going to be, you mentioned, speaking earlier on, Mark, you talked to Johnson and you talked about the KPIs, and I reckon KPIs are going to play a massive role today, and he said, yeah, there's a few of them that we're down on that we prided ourselves in last year, and it's going to be like physicality, it's going to be attack, it's going to be chase, it's going to be tackle, it's going to be press, it's going to be all those things, but also, guess what, it's going to be no weak links in the team, and that it's a fascinating one. And from Geelong's perspective, I think what better stage can you have? You're coming back to the scene of the crime, the game where last September you were beaten. This is the ground. This is your chance to redeem yourself and against a side who's really coming at you and really will challenge you. I think it's got all the matchups. I'm salivating at the fact of what I'm going to be presented because I think that we're going to get a brand of football that's going to be red hot from go to woe.
It's going to be a beauty, all right.
Yeah.
I'm not so certain that Greg's right. That Geelong lose this, they can't win the premiership.
Oh, no, but that's just the way people feel
yeah.
and in people's minds, and you just wonder, those type of things, would that translate to the club? I don't think it would, but people outside would be feeling that.
We've seen a lot of Geelong games, and they just do enough to get over the line. They need to do a little bit more today.
Yeah, well, I think that they've got that case, haven't they? When you're winning so much, and we've had Geelong games, there's no doubt that Geelong can turn on in a quarter and do it, but then there's an ability, we've won it, we can just back off. You just got to be very careful because if you get to that situation, it can create bad habits. But I think they're a quality side, and I don't think there'll be any backing off today.
They kicked 6 goals against them in the last quarter, remember, Hawthorne?
Yeah.
At the start of the year, and I'll remember that too.
The scoreboard just put up the betting. Geelong $1.40, Hawthorne $3.40. Is there that much between?
Oh, no.
How far is the TAB?
Yeah.
Both teams as selected, so all the intrigue surrounding the makeup of the Geelong team, those that were picked are playing, and a bit of a quiet start. The PA here at the MCG is having its trouble, so no theme songs to start, but rest assured the teams are out there and we're a couple of minutes away. Adam White is in the front row. Whitey, what are you making of it?
Yeah, look, I reckon there's about 60,000 in, Jared, for today's game, maybe high 50s, so not the crowd we certainly had last night. Ground conditions are absolutely perfect. You could be playing cricket on the surface out here at the MCG, despite the fact they had 15 mils of rain in Melbourne early in the week. The breeze, look, it's blustery without being over the top, and it's Jared Roughhead that's won the toss in his 100th game, tossing the coin against Cameron Ling, and the Hawks will kick down to the punt road end. Gary Ablett, that was all the talk during the week, wasn't it? Was he going to play? Did the calf injury become an issue again? Did he miss training as late as yesterday? He's certainly out there and showing no ill effects. It'll be a very intriguing game indeed. I'm really looking forward to it, and I think the Hawks have got a terrific chance.
Who'd you pick, Stan?
I'm going for the Cats.
Mark?
I'm going for Hawthorn.
Drew?
I'm going for Hawthorne too.
Yeah, we'll make it 2 apiece.
Okay. Interesting that Ruffy got to toss the coin out in the middle. He's playing his 100th. Sam Mitchell 150th and Brad Sewell 100th. So the banner recognised all 3. But Ruffy got to toss the coin out in the middle. And there's a milestone for the Cats as well. Travis Varco playing his 50th game.
So players about to head to their positions. Matthew Scarlett heading to the punt road end to defend. And in all likelihood, Lance Franklin will come and stand by his shoulder, and we'll have that matchup which has offered some great moments in the grand final in round 1 when Scarlett got injured and Franklin tore the match apart in the final term. The Hawks came up short there. The benches at the start, Ellis, Dowler, Shields and Kennedy for the Hawks, and for the Cats it'll be Tanase, Burns, Hogan and Milburn.
Well, Scarlett will have a more difficult task than he had last week. He got Russell Robertson dropped to the VFL, Scarlett, the way he ran off him last week. But he'll be a different proposition.
Gary Ablett heading to the forward line. He could play more deep forward last week than he would typically do, which seemed to support the case that he has been troubled by an injury, not enough to keep him out of the match. Just about in readiness, it's Grandstand AFL right the way around the country on ABC Local Radio. We're on Radio Australia and streaming at afl.com.au, and a real sense of anticipation surrounding this. It's
Sam Mitchell starting down back line. He's got on Stokes coming off the back line. Now whether he's just going to start and run.
And Franklin starting on the wing.
Drew Morford on Grandstand AFL.
There's the bounce in the middle. Oh, Mumford up very early, crunches in, and they win the hit out. Next touch at ground level. Well, give Stokes a possession. He's thrown it to the ground, loses it to Sewell. Sewell, the hand pass away to Guerra. He kicks to half forward, not a bad kick. Osborne under pressure though, knocked away by Wojcinski. Here comes Buddy from the wing. Hand pass to Osborne. Osborne kicks to full forward. Ruffy's down there, swamped in defence and sliding across in front of the pack. Take the mark. They've turned it over near the goal square. Chance for Lewis to run in. Scarlett has to double back. Gets it to Lonigan. Caught in the tackle. He's holding the ball. Yes, sir. And little Junior Rioli laid the tackle on Tom Lonigan, and Cyril Rioli is on the boundary line in the forward pocket about 8 metres from goal. David and Goliath, left foot, snap, can't curl it back enough, and misses to the far side for the first score of the game. Gee, forwards have to tackle these days, and Cyril Rioli did it beautifully there.
Yeah, but they were nervous, Geelong. It was really a very nervous effort by them, and they seized on it, the Hawks.
Yeah, right, with a short kick into play for Selwood, out to half back for Mumford. He's taken the mark. He gives a hand pass back to Selwood, who's running into a dead end. He got around Birchall, was able to place his kick up to Varco in the middle of the G. Hand pass to Bartel, although I'm not sure it was intended for him. Shoveled it off to Ling. Varco got caught, penalised holding the ball. Campbell Brown to take the free kick for the Hawks, and he uses it quickly. Out to the wing for Hodge. Links it up with Bateman. Kick smothered from the side by Stokes. It ricochets, though, the way of Sewell inside the 50. Bartel floats in front of the attackers to take the mark for the Cats.
Gee, Roughhead's been outnumbered on a couple of occasions when the ball has gone down there. Mackey out of defence, up to Harry Taylor, near the centre wing. Gives the hand pass on the bounce to Rook. He palms off Guerra. Kick by Rook to Ablett at half forward. He drops it. Dropped the centre of the mark, and it's pumped down by Guerra. Guerra might have got him high. Gaz is holding his head. Comes to Taylor. Gets the hand pass away to Bartel. Sweeps the hand pass to Ablett. Here comes the ball. Here comes Gary. He gathers at centre wing. He kicks gloriously to Stokes at half forward. Campbell Brown gets in front of him. Through goes Mooney with a clash of bodies. Tries to get rid of Murphy. Mooney in for a second go at him. Umpire says play on.
She's aggro. She's real aggro.
Is this a grand final?
Well, I tell you what, Geelong are just going to try and do the run and handball at all costs, and Hawthorn are really up for them.
Yeah, do you think they mean it? Right half forward for the Cats. It comes the way of Stokes to Selwood. He'll kick it to full forward. It bounces. Hawkins knocks it into the field of play, but he's disposed of by Gillum, who wins the footy. Hand passes to Sewell. The Hawks run it off to half-back. Schoenmaker's mark played on. Ran into Corey. Gave it up. Rook breaks toward goal. Runs it home for the opener. The Cats strike first through Max Rook. The tackling is fierce through 3 minutes. It's 1 goal to 1 behind.
No, it certainly is. It's been tackle after tackle and pressure on everyone. Everyone's a bit jittery. And all of a sudden, Joel Corey wraps up Schoenmaker beautifully. A young player, inexperienced. You've got to understand that people are right on your case. And that time he tried to play on with the mark when he should have just stopped and propped and held on. Tried to play on. That's how they like to play the Hawks. And Joel Corey, just too strong.
Well, Buddy Franklin started the game on the southern stand wing. And for this centre bounce, he'll be on the members' wing, nowhere near the forward line. Harry Taylor edging up, but not really picking him up. A goal to a behind, the Cats in front. There's the bounce in the middle. Mumford camped underneath it, but over the top Campbell. Mumford rose, gets the hand pass out to Mackey. Cornered, gets the hand pass to Taylor. Kick by Harry to half forward. Stokes in front, can't mark. Comes down to the front to Ablett. One way, then the other. Turns Sammy Mitchell inside out. Gazza ran a fair way. His right foot kick bumbles along the ground inside the 50. Taken by Stokes. He backs into trouble. Hawthorn have a chance to win the ball here. Might have been one in the back. Play on, says the umpire. And he comes in and is going to ball it up. The umpires in red today. Razor Chamberlain, Scott Jeffrey and Shane McInerney.
Mumford goes down to contest the ruck inside. The Cats attacking 50. Simon Taylor, though, probably won the tap. Selwood couldn't gather. Saul had it. He had plenty of company. Gave it up. Ablett's hand pass is loose. Taken by Osborne. Defensively round the boundary to Guerra, and Osborne follows up. He nuts it out well. Hand pass to Lewis. He almost got caught by Stokes. Held the ball on his hand instead of giving off and kicks out now to Schoenmakers. He's knocked over by Bartel. Cats have the footy. To Rook, to Mumford. A whistle.
Free kick hit high.
Geelong free kick going the way of Max Rook. 55 out is where he would kick it from if that's what he chooses.
Gee, Schoenmakers has been under the pump a couple of times.
Rook has the opener. A long-range chance to double up. From 53, it looks all right. It gets away late. It's off hands and touched through for a behind. 1-1-7 Geelong, one behind Hawthorn after 5.5 minutes.
Gillen brings it in, and Birchall takes the mark in the back pocket for the Hawks. He kicks towards centre wing, a long one. Brown has a run at Taylor. Taylor in front, holds the mark. Or the umpire said held by the arm rather than paying the mark. Free kick, advantage quickly taken here by the Cats. Joel Corey, a poor kick into the middle. Mackey's hand pass, blocked off by Hodge, who runs straight into Mackey. Well, he might have been holding it. And they come from everywhere. He is holding it eventually.
It's a high-quality tackling game, isn't it? High quality.
Well, what's happened at both sides, everybody's pushing back, but it's not inhibiting any of the sides. They're just going to take you on. They don't care if they make a mistake, but they're not going to go back in their shell.
Mackey goes across the ground, and Scarlett well up the field. There's 36 players in half of the ground. Scarlett kicks short of half forward, and Lonergan takes the mark. Great Southern stand side as a weak sun breaks out at the MCG. Cats into whatever breeze, although it swirls around these massive grandstands here at the MCG. He's kicked it backwards, and the mark's taken by Enright. He advances the ball to the front edge of the square. Mackey prominent early. He kicks towards the forward pocket. Beautiful and fantastically delivered, and the mark taken by Hawkins with a climb and high over his head, the tomahawk.
A typical jump from a forward, really jumped high, gave the defender no opportunity at all to get a fist on the ball or hit his arms in any way, shape or form. Fantastically.
He's kicked 20 goals, 9 for the season. In his last 3 games, 1, 1 and 1. This would be a great start for the youngster. Has been under a bit of pressure, but turned the corner a bit last week against the D's. Oh, he's hooked this kick, and it's away to the left-hand side, and only just gets a minor score behind. Geelong 1-1, Hawthorn 1 behind.
Guerra to Kiki. Hawks have spread for him between 40 and 60 metres away from the defensive goal. Where he's going to stab it in for Osborne. It's not really on. Spoilers made by Hawkins, knocks it out to the side. Lewis retrieves it for the Hawks. Somehow managed to get it to Birchall, to Lewis. They're off half back with maximum risk. Up to the wing. Taylor against Renoff. Renoff goes to ground, but he had the ball and he gave it off to Brown. Kick up to half forward, pitched on its end. Favoured Joel Corey for Geelong. Across half back to Enright. Looks up the wing now for Burns. Burns has got a runner going straight through the middle of the G, and it's Mackey.
Cats have controlled the ball. They've had a lot of the ball at this stage compared to Hawthorn.
Mackey takes pause, waits for the leads from the forwards, kicks out for Mooney. He's in front, and he hangs onto the mark. It's a long-range shot for Cameron Mooney. 45-degree angle out to the left and 50 metres away. These are the ones the team is now demanding that he take a shot at. Against the Hawks, Cameron Mooney from 52 thumps it with authority and nails the goal. That will be good for the Spirits. Mooney swings his fist to the Geelong section of the crowd. The Cats 2-2-14, monopolising play after 9 minutes. Hawthorn are behind.
You're right, Jared. They have been monopolising play, and that's why it was a critical goal, because you've just got to be able to nail those ones, and it was a fantastic effort. But, gee, they're well served at the moment by run out of defence. Mackey has been absolutely magnificent. He's starting half back, but his ability to find space through that middle of that ground, and he's really coming off sort of a wing half back, and his ability to get in, they find him, and then to come up and just to be able to break up. And we've seen the two key forwards for Geelong both come out on different sides, strong angle running, but great leaps in the air, big strong hands. They would be very, very happy with that.
Franklin's gone forward for the Hawks. Mumford wins in the middle for the Cats. It comes to Sewell of the Hawks, who is gang tackled, and the umpire will bounce again. So at that centre bounce, Roughhead was out on the wing with Franklin forward. The bounce, not far from the circles. Third man up, Bartell knocks it straight to Campbell of Hawthorn. Lewis hand passes defensively. Back to Dowler. Now Mitchell. Kick by Mitchell out into open space. Oh, running onto it is Rioli. What a kick by Mitchell. Rioli's pass is fantastic. And inside the 50, the mark is taken by Dowler. And the crowd wanting 50 against Scarlett. He left a decent divot. X marks the spot. Dowler will kick from about 50 metres out. They need a goal. Geelong have been really good. 2-2 to a point. Hawks going to the punt road end in the first quarter. Now bright sunshine at the G. Dowler from the paint. Away to the right. Silence behind the goals. And a behind. Whitey.
Mumford goes to the bench for the Cats, which means again this experiment from Mark Thompson of Hawkins being the second ruckman for the Cats.
2-2 to 2 behinds. Geelong leading early. The kick in will come the way of Joel Corey. Right back pockets. Hawthorne set a pretty good zone. The kick is short, not without risk. Almost stolen by Shields. Certainly enough to get it out of play. So a little win for Liam Shields against Virginski.
Poor kick. Really poor kick. 15-metre kick to a bloke on someone on him. It's ridiculous.
50 out from the Hawthorne goal. Worked down in the ruck by the Hawks, but they couldn't make anything of it. Simon Taylor is using the additional height over Hawkins, but they'll reset to do it again. Same 50-metre mark on the ground. Taylor sets himself behind. Hawkins comes from the side, wins the tap. Down to Sewell, got caught by Harry Taylor. Wrapped up pretty well too. Umpire circles, he'll bounce it.
Been a while since you've seen a ruckman actually hit it forward like that.
Oh, it was a good setup. What they did is they moved everyone to one side, and Sewell runs into that space. Very good setup.
Tossed up this time. Hawkins leaps up over the top. Probably a little lucky to get away with it. He did win the tap, and he drags the footy out at ground level to Burns. Hurries his kick up the wing. Chapman against Gillum. Coming through was Mitchell. He hasn't got it. Selwood does. Hand pass to Stokes. The Cats up the half forward. Bouncing ball. Mooney leads the chase. He just let it slip through his fingers. Mitchell's able to gather for the Hawks, but the kick is not without risk. Hogan flew against Simon Taylor. Sewell gathers at ground level. The Cats knock down the hand pass. Hogan fights on against Sewell. Sewell a hand pass to Shields. He was taken in the back. Hawks get the ball between half-back and the wing.
No easy kicks out there today. To Mitchell, back to Shields. Now to Lewis at centre wing. Up. Just slips the tackle. Hand passes it back 15 metres to Sammy Mitchell. Kick by Mitchell to half forward. Beautiful on the chest of Campbell Brown. Hand pass to Lewis. 65 from goal. Steers the pass. Looking for Franklin, but straight to his opponent. And Harry Taylor takes the mark. Hand pass to Ling. Back out in the sunshine across the ground to Lonergan. Back to Ling. They go towards the Great Southern stand side. Milburn takes the mark just inside defensive 50. Kicks up to the wing. Joel Corey leads the race. Gallops after the ball. Close to the boundary line. A high leap for the bouncing ball. Couldn't keep it in. Out she goes on the centre wing. Geelong 2-2. Hawthorne 2 behinds. And we've played 13 and a half minutes in the opening term.
Hawkins and Renoff in the ruck this time. They set themselves at the logo. Renoff controls the tap down to Sewell. Can't break out. Hogan hung on well to the tackle. Shields received the hand pass. Got it off to McGlynn. Broke one. Ran into a second. Got it off to Lewis. Up to Dowler. Now to Mitchell. Inside the 50. 2-on-1. Bateman got some high contact, I reckon. Scarlett hit him high. Chance Bateman to take the free kick. It was a high setup. Bateman was underneath it. There were two Cats converging. And just on the top of the head, Scarlett with the forearm making contact as he reached up for the footy.
Interesting choice, Bateman. Might have to get plastic surgery to earn the kick.
8 goals, 5 for the season. It's pretty simple for Bateman. He goes to 35 directly in front. He's dragged it across the face. He misses out.
Don't tell me they're going to do a Geelong.
Hawks are 3 behind. Geelong 2-2.
Corey Enright shielding his eyes from the sun. Kicks in with distance. Outside the 50. Oh, well done, Tommy Hawkins. Terrific mark at halfback. And he took a good one on the forward line and sprayed the kick for goal. Now he's taken a good one on the back line. Hawkins short pass. Chapman hasn't gone 15, umpire. Got the play on. Chapman kicks the ball back to Milburn. And he goes further back to the defensive goal square to Taylor. Kick by Taylor. Out wide to Wojcinski, who's got a break on Roughhead. Wojcinski marks near the boundary line. Defensive 50. 14-3, Geelong up. They've kicked the only 2 goals of the game. Kick by Wojcinski down the line. Finds Enright, who started this with his kick in after the behind. Enright goes the short pass to centre wing. And Tenace takes the mark. Uses his pace to burn away. Fires out the hand pass to Burns. Into Varco. Varco under pressure. The 2 number 5s. And Varco was closed down by Sammy Mitchell. And the ball goes out of play at left half forward for the Cats.
He's been very effective, Mitchell. He's playing across half back. He's chopped them off, but he's had 6 possessions and he's set up some really good attacks.
Geelong by 11. Hawkins wins the tap. Hogan lost control of the footy. Rioli squabbles with him for it. Can't be settled other than with a bounce. 51 out from the Geelong goal. They shared the tap. Came out to the side. Shields fighting with Selwood, and he's made high contact. So a Geelong free kick the way of Joel Selwood. He squares at the Rook, who runs on through the 50. I reckon he's kicked the second. Max Rook having a profound influence up forward. The Cats have got 3 before the Hawks have got 1. 3-2, 20 to 3 behinds after 16 and a half.
Well, Maxi Rook's been on his own a hell of a lot. The zone gives you an opportunity. That's what Hawthorn play, a zone. Gives you an opportunity to get some space. Max Rook has used it twice for 2 goals, probably 3 times. He probably could have kicked another one as well. It's been a terrific way they play Hawthorn, but you must mark a man when they're in the side 50 or down that area, because the zoning in that area is very, very poor. Forwards love it when no one's on them.
Ablett comes to the bench. He's dropped an easy mark. He's kicked a grubber. He's given a hand pass to the opposition. So no votes for you yet, Gary. 3-2 to 3 behinds. Plenty of doubt about Ablett taking his place. No changes to the selected sides. Ray Chamberlain bounces in the middle. One by Taylor. Comes underfoot. Still in the bullseye. With about 14 players in the bullseye with the ball. Now will bounce again.
It's amazing. Half the ground, or 2/3 of the ground, is in sunshine, and it's very difficult for the players to watch it. It's right in their eyes, and it's very difficult for them to mark, but also to see targets when looking into it.
Hawkins in ruck, and he's done okay. Oh, this ball comes down. There's a high tackle there by Tenace, and it'll be a Hawthorn free kick taken by McGlynn on all fours. Gets the hand pass to Osborne. A high ball, a shot kick by Michael Osborne. But it's forward, could have been marked down there by Robbie Campbell. He dropped a sinner right in front of goal, and now it's come back into a pack, and the umpire's going to ball it up. There was a chance for the Hawks from nearly the worst kick of the day. Geelong 3-2 to Hawthorn 3 behinds. Can the Hawks get something out of this with a bounce 20 metres from goal? Campbell wins the hit. Comes to Selwood. Fumble in the middle there by Lonergan. Back into the pack, and the umpire will bounce again. Scoring opportunity for the Hawks.
It's deep forward with Renouf to square up against Hawkins. Hawkins used the body pretty well. He won the tap down near Selwood. Renouf's hand pass is out wide, but it's plucked off by Harry Taylor. Hand pass to Lonergan, who gives it backward to Milburn. Careful against the boundary, and Harry Taylor marks it just above his laces. He's against the boundary. He's trying to link it up with Lonergan, which he successfully does. This is to get it outside the defensive 50 for Geelong. Lonergan looks forwards and sideways and decides forward up the southern wing as his best goes. Simon Taylor used the body against Mumford. In fact, he used the hands right in the back of Mumford. And umpire Chamberlain on hand to call it. Mumford kicks it sideways to Selwood. Barely 15. Hand pass to Ling. Ran into Franklin. Bounced off him. Ling gets a wobbly old kick away. The contact did take a toll. Roughhead takes the intercepting mark. Hand pass to Rioli. Up to Mitchell. Dropped it cold. Had time to get it back. Hand pass to Franklin. Just forward of the wing. Back when he goes to Schoenmakers. Too long. Mackie got him. He got him high.
He'll learn. It's hard to get that ball, but it's very hard to get rid of. He's been hit 3 or 4 times, Schoenmakers.
Schoenmakers with a reprieve. He's going to have to give a little ground with a hand pass to Murphy. Kicks across the centre square for Gillum. Dabs it forward. Careful movement of the footy for McGlynn. McGlynn will go long inside the 50. He needs a marker at the back. It's Dowler. Dropped the mark. Tried to get it to his boot. Dragged off it by Lonergan. The Cats defend. Milburn out of the pocket for Corey.
Joel Corey from the last line. Straight up the ground. The mark taken by Chapman. Still inside defensive 50. Looks for Rook near the wing. Why wouldn't you? He's kicked a couple. Rook nudged underneath the ball and will take a free kick. Advantage goes to the Cats, but Mackie...
Oh, he's smart, Mackie. He looked up, there was no one to kick to, and he just put the hands up and said to Ray Chamberlain, I'll umpire this game, son. We'll take it.
Makes a very fine umpire too, Andrew Mackie.
Turned into a very good player.
So free kick to Rook, short pass to Selwood. And the mark just in front of Lewis. 3-2 Geelong, 3 behinds Hawthorn. And Selwood kicked into the man on the mark. Hawthorn midfield. Lewis chucks himself at the ball. Not doing much to get it out though. Umpire Chamberlain says, give it to me, I'll ball it up.
It's got an eerie tension about this game. It's one of those ones that's on the edge. You're just unsure which's going to happen. Geelong seem to be controlling it, but Hawthorn are just hanging in. It's just a real tough struggle.
Here's the bounce near the circles. Ball comes down to Kennedy. Gets the hand pass to Mitchell, who slings one out to Rioli. Rioli off the left, kicks to full forward. 2-1 in favour of the Cats. Might have been a free kick down there. Dowler overruns the ball. He's had a couple of opportunities. Milburn does well. Hand pass to Scarlett. Scarlett exits the situation beautifully with a pass to Burns, who marks. Has a couple of bounces. Runs over half-back flank. Takes him on as a third bounce. Fourth, up the centre wing. Hand pass into Varco, who had to change direction to gather the ball. He does. Back to Ablett. Kick by Ablett to full forward. Hawkins crunches the pack. They want a rover in front, but Murphy's there for the Hawks.
He gave it to Gillum, who swings his hand pass into the pocket. Guerra, who was in the chase, up to Murphy, delivers to the wing now. Bateman takes it. He's running in the sun and directing traffic. Ablett comes at him. He kicks up the half forward. He's over-kicked Reynolds, who hasn't kicked a goal in his career, but he's playing full forward. The crummer is Roughhead. Got it, rolls it at the goal front. Got it there. Dived in at the far post. Clever stuff from Roughhead in his 100th game. The Hawks took 22.5 minutes to put up their first. 1-3-9, trailing Geelong 3-2-20. Adam White.
Yeah, Luke Hodge comes to the bench for the second time. Not much of an influence, and there's a reason for that. Cameron Ling is his man. He's following him wherever he goes. Hodge to the bench. That means Cameron Ling gets a break.
Yeah, he's only had one possession, Hodge, but that goal was Roughhead's just attack on the footy. Absolutely magnificent. He really wanted. He split him open and on his wrong foot kicked it. But also I thought Geelong made a terrible error at the other end of the ground. Hawkins had his name all over it. Stokes coming in, must have seen him from an angle, and he competed with him and upset the apple cart. Rebound, down the other end of the ground. Goal, first for Hawks.
11-point lead to the Cats. It's one in the middle, and Bartel shrugs a tackle, turns into another one. The ball's held to him, said the umpire, and it'll be a secondary bounce. 3-2 to 1 goal, 3 Geelong. 23.5 minutes played in the first quarter. Big crowd at the MCG, but not as big as last night. Mumford wins. Comes down to Sewell of Hawthorn. He's caught in a good tackle by Burns, and again the ball is held. So the umpire working overtime. The tackling has been fantastic. Wouldn't be out of place on the last Saturday in September. Hit out. Comes down to Kennedy of Hawthorn. They've lost ground in possession. Murphy back to Birchall. Now Guerra sweeps the hand pass to Schoenmakers. He's under pressure again as he fumbles. Rook comes in and slings him to the ground. This time, though, it spills Hawthorn's way. Guerra shares it. Up the ground to Mitchell. Hand pass too far ahead of Birchall. He's run down from behind. Is he holding it up higher? Ooh. Yep.
Great tackle by a ruckman. 6'7", huge man, just ran him down from behind. Very good player, Mumford.
He was mummified.
Bounce on the broadcast wing. Bartell, third man up, down to Ablett. Didn't quite break out. Worked the hand pass to Selwood, who in the tackles got it off to Bartell. Bouncing ball to half forward. Murphy's in front, taps it up to his own advantage. Got a good little shepherd from Gillam as well. Allowed him to bring it across half back to Ellis. He'll break to the broadcast wing. Out in front of Kennedy. Delivers up to half forward. A little too strong for Dowler. Kennedy goes again, commits himself, rolls in, takes the tackles, gets the footy out to Osborne. Hand pass to Brown, but there it ended in 2 tackles.
Oh, Kanga will be proud of his grandson there. I don't know about Dowler, though.
Left half forward for Hawthorn, trailing by 11. Hodge back into the game. Ling coming. Bartell's been a weapon as the third man up. Down to Ablett, back to Bartell, across to Tanase, and now to Corey, and they're out the Cats. In the middle, Virginski marks, uses his pace, gets rid of Rioli, tries to sell a dummy. Virginski hand passes. Corey from long range. Hawkins going back with a flight. The ball bounces half volleys in the behind post, where it be chucked back into play.
Great sight that, isn't it? Someone running flat out, someone trying to chase him down. Wojcinski should keep doing it. He just breaks them apart.
Yeah, 2 real speedsters there, Wojcinski and Rioli. Boundary throw in the forward pocket for the Cats. Varco nearly has an air swing at it. Chopped off by Bateman. Hawthorn go back. The hand pass to Mitchell in the defensive goal square. Kicks out wide. Gets the ball outside the 50 and finds touch. That is a rugby 5-8, gaining 50 metres. Throw in. Still the Cats in attack. Mumford comes from nowhere to work his way in front, but at the back Lewis grabs it for the Hawks. Mitchell, another touch for Sammy Mitchell. Lewis across in front of goal, dangerous. Murphy takes the mark, nearly under pressure from Hawkins. Murphy gets the ball over half-back flank where it's taken by Renoff. Hand pass to Birchall. Birchall, beautiful kick to Brown, who marks it half forward. Kick by Brown. Franklin on the lead, 49 metres from goal, close to the boundary line. Buddy.
It's really first time he's been able to get away from Taylor. Taylor's had his measure, and the Franklin move up the midfield really wasn't working. Taylor was just sitting off him, but now he's gone a little bit deeper and he's more of a target.
Well, Roughhead kicked one from near the boundary line from the other side. Can Franklin do it from 50? Oh, look at that go! What a goal! Lance Franklin. Hawthorn 2-3, Geelong 3-2.
Oh, they're the people we come to see, the Lance Franklins, the Riolis, the Ablets, and then you see them do something special, and that was special, from 50 metres right on the boundary, on the wrong side for him, but he loves it there. We've seen him do it before. It's a bit of deja vu. I reckon he's probably done 100 of them, and that was better than most. Sensational. When they needed it, when they're fighting, Sam Mitchell's been outstanding down back. Just absolutely the general down there, and he's held them together.
Mark McClure on Grandstand AFL. Yes, Franklin had that exact kick at the start of the last quarter against Carlton earlier in the year. He is well schooled from what would look to be his most difficult point on the ground. He's made that look dead easy. The margin is back to 5 points as we tick toward quarter time. Bounce in the middle. Mumford shared the tap, kicked off the ground by Hodge. The clearance, it reaches Brown, breaks a tackle, hand pass to Osborne. They should be in front, and Osborne makes it so. Hawthorn have strung 3 together. They lead by a point, 3-3 to 3-2.
Well, this is what you like about Hawthorn, and you just say it time and again that they look to be in trouble. Geelong look to have had their measure most of the play, but all of a sudden, I think part of it's just getting the setup right. I think that they've gone back with a much better structure. Certainly Franklin now down deep will give him the target. There's the benefit of just winning the ball out of the centre, and Osborne is a very, very good player, able to pounce on it. Just that little bit of speed, but the other thing I like about him is just has that bit of composure. He just settled off and just drilled through, and they're right back, and they've got their tails up, and they've just thrown the challenge back to the Cats.
And Stan Hodge has gone deep forward as well. Hodge and Franklin alongside each other. 21 plays 20. The Hawks have kicked 3 in 5.5 minutes. From the middle it comes to Ling of the Cats. He kicks to half forward, and Hawkins is having a day out. He takes another overhead mark right in front, 45 from goal.
One thing in the MCG, you must win the centre takeaway. You just must do that if you're going to win a game of football. We saw then Hawthorn win one, and then the Cats win one back. Classic.
three terrific overhead marks by this giant of a lad. Tom Hawkins. Gets through the 50. Kicks from about 47. Kicked it a mile and kicked it for goal. But it's good to watch. He's been under pressure and he's bounced back. The Cats 4-2 regain the lead. Hawthorn 3-3.
Well, we questioned their tall forwards before the game. We have for some time, and they've both delivered. Mooney and Hawkins have both taken marks in the forward 50 and kicked great goals in there as well. It's good setup. Trust them. Kick it long to them. Give them an opportunity. The defenders aren't quite good enough on them at this stage.
Centre break, setting up goals in quick succession. Wouldn't think there's enough time on the clock, but the way it's been used out of the middle, there is. We're beyond 30 minutes. It's the Cats by 5 points. Simon Taylor rucking for Hawthorn against Mumford of the Cats. Sewell and Bartell shoulder to shoulder. Taylor wins the tap for the Hawks. Sewell takes possession. Mumford is the tackler. Front on, dumps him into the turf.
Oh, his coach would be loving this. He'd be loving it. The big fella's just making the contest, but then he's just powering at ground level. That was a wonderful follow-up and tackle.
Remember the breakaway for the Hawks. Bartell again up, winning the tap. Down to Ablett. Hand pass to Selwood. Siren beats the disposal. It's quarter time at the MCG. Geelong 4-26 with that late Hawkins goal to reclaim the front. Hawthorn 3-3-21. Rook has 2 singles to Mooney and to Hawkins. For Hawthorn, Roughhead, Osborne and Franklin, each with 1 apiece. This is Grandstand AFL on ABC Local Radio, Radio Australia. So Ling's gone to Hodge, as Adam White was telling us, where typically he's had Mitchell. Mitchell's had a dozen in the opening quarter. And Hodge has been well held.
He went so well that they put Varco back onto him to run with him and actually chase him around the forward line. So and here he goes again towards him.
Yeah, Hodge will start in the middle. Ling with him. Ablett has Lewis by his side, and Selwood rounds out the group with Sewell. Siren sounds to begin the second term, Hawthorn and Geelong. It's the Cats by 5 points. Simon Taylor and Mumford. Taylor the tap down to Hodge. Lingers hanging onto him. He kicked it straight into Lewis, did Hodge. It ricocheted the way of Guerra to Sewell to Bateman to Hodge to Simon Taylor to Franklin. These are all hand passes. Franklin is loose with his, though. He follows up, wins it back in a tackle from Ablett. Viginski had it for a moment. Rioli brings him down. In right at halfback, trying to retrieve it for the Cats. Hand pass a little fierce.
Hawthorn player down.
It's Osborne. Harry Taylor goes to fullback. They're leaking ground. They're holding possession, Geelong. Lonergan brings them out. Burns takes the mark. Osborne onto his haunches, but in need of medical attention. Burns lays the kick off to Ling. Hand pass to Enright. Back edge of the centre square. He lobs his kick for Ablett, who takes off against McGlynn. Kicks inside the 50 and rammed it down the throat of Chapman. Creative use from Ablett and Chapman to take the set shot. Osborne is a bloodied figure. Adam White heading your way.
Yeah, 2 trainers with him. He's being able to trot off the ground himself, so I don't think it's too bad. I reckon he's a pretty tough guy. I think he'll be coming back on the ground.
It's Franklin who got him by the look of that replay. Just an accidental clash which has damaged the nose. The kick is with Chapman from 50, leans back on it, pushes it across the face, and it is a behind. 27 plays 21.
Stephen Gillen wouldn't want to watch that replay too hard. Can go back very hard there. And he'd be told.
Guerra to kick in for the Hawks. Gets it outside the 50. Simon Taylor is there. Mumford in front. Taylor over the top of him. Takes the mark. Good effort.
It was a ripper, wasn't it? Yeah. Just one hand up, controlled it and brought it down.
Goes the short pass to McGlynn, still at half-back. He runs around Mumford, which wasn't too hard. McGlynn kicks towards half-forward. Lewis works off Ablett. Ball comes to the ground. Ablett wins the contest. Well played, Gary. Another glorious pass to Chapman. He gathers. Hand pass to Selwood. 25-metre hand pass across the ground. Taken by Bartell. Short pass up the ground is good footy. Diving Hawkins takes the mark. Hand pass into Enright. Enright's kick. Mooney! Hands to it, but couldn't take the mark. It spills to Sewell of the Hawks. He comes out wide to Brown, who marks it right half-back. Pokes the pass up the centre wing where Bateman takes the mark. 20 metres in the clear. Chance Bateman directing traffic while running. Kicks long to full forward and gave it straight up. Oh, poor old kick, but a dreadful attempted marking there, down there in defence by Corey. They're in trouble. The ball goes all the way back.
Goal.
Did it get over the line?
Great goal.
It got over the line from Lewis, who has kicked the goal for the Hawks and stuffs it right down Scarlett. Hawthorn 4-3, Geelong 4-3.
Unusual mistake by Joel Corey. Very poor effort there in the back line. Good tackling, great pressure. This is what the game brings. When it's heated like this, a stand set at quarter time and two champs are at it, going at each other, mistakes happen. And all of a sudden, Jordan Lewis was clever enough, quick enough and strong enough to get hold of the ball and then poke it through. Classical goal where you kick it on the side and it rolls around right through the middle of the goal. It's a terrific goal by the Hawks.
Mark McClure on Grandstand AFL. Adam White.
It was the Leon Davis pocket from last night, running it along the ground, did Jordan Lewis. Bigger degree of difficulty, though, because it was with his non-preferred foot.
Mumford and Simon Taylor with the scores level, 4-3 apiece. Taylor wins the tap for the Hawks. Kennedy is coming through. He likes to win the hard ball. Hand pass to Bateman. Sets it up to half forward. It's going to be hard to mark. Vajinski couldn't do so for the Cats, but Ling is there to mop up. Kicks around the southern wing. Burns against Bateman. Burns took it, has support over the top from Bartell. Had to kick it in a hurry. Confronted by Mitchell, who puts his boot out. Should have intercepted the kick of Bartell and saw it out of bounds. Has blocked the kick. Cats attacking side of the middle. Mumford the tap this time. He hasn't knocked it to anyone wearing hoops. There's a free kick. Ling was hanging on to Hodge. Hodge for the Hawks. Carlton forward. Nothing obvious to go to. The umpire.
Oh, Razor, what are you doing?
Not happy with all that's taking place. Hodge was not on his correct
angle. Oh, turn it up.
130 metres away from goal.
The camera's on him, don't worry. He's happy.
Gets to talk into the microphone and the nation will be listening. Hodge into the middle, shocking kick, straight to Selwood. The Cats catch a break. Mooney going wide. Oh, big collision with Murphy. I think both are okay. Mooney wanted the mark. Murphy won the footy. Inspiring stuff. Hand pass to McGlynn, sideways to Dowler, up now to McGlynn, in pursuit of Stokes, had to get it away in a hurry, Dowler got caught, dragged down, hot footy, hard to win, really tough, this is for men this game, oh, bang and crash, Mooney against Murphy, wow, talk about mortal danger. There's a free kick, Ray Chamberlain cannot stay out of the game, it's a Hawthorn free kick.
By hand back to Birchall, into Mitchell.
Let the
away
men
to
play,
Guerra.
Razor.
Guerra kicks to Franklin. Hands up there, couldn't take the mark. Chance at the back, but Corey gets it for the Cats. His hand pass chopped off by Roughhead. Gets it to Lewis, back to Roughhead, running into the pocket. Ruffy from the impossible. Puts it out in front of goal. McGlynn! Oh, up, couldn't take the mark. Still well within goal kicking distance. He throws himself at the ball. It emerges, it comes to Ablett, who weaves, gets out of trouble, kicks across the ground to Ling. Half a step in front of Hodge. Ling takes the mark on defensive 50. Short pass, chopped off by Rioli, who marks. Gets the hand pass to Bateman, who snaps from 52 down to the pocket. Franklin is there. Copped one in the eye or the nose. The ball's gone out of play, and it'll be a boundary throw in the forward pocket.
I reckon there's a little win for Hawthorn because what's happened is that Lewis has gone forward. Joel Corey's following him, and he just doesn't like being down deep, Joel Corey. He's really 6s and 7s.
Roughhead sharks Mumford's winning hit out. And now Ablett sweeps a hand pass up to Burns. Under pressure, he's given it up. Hodge is there. Gee, this is a tough game. The scores are level. And if you've decided not to come today, it's your fault. You shouldn't be here.
Ray hasn't picked another one out, has he?
Yeah, it's taken over, Ray.
We're here to see the players. We're here to see the players play. It's a free kick to Luke Hodge, 70 out from goal. Hodge looks across half forward. He's going to kick it back.
Oh, I don't
He's
believe
kicked
it.
it straight to Hawkins. It's deja vu. That's what happened in round 17 last year. Hawkins inside the 50. Mooney couldn't hang on. Varco's the crummer. Has to get around Murphy. Varco turns tackler on Gillum. Hand pass to Murphy. The Hawks survive for the moment. Ellis got caught with it by Burns. He got caught high. Ellis between fullback and halfback across the face of goal for Guerra. Out now to Mitchell. Looking up the southern wing. Rioli wanted it. Mitchell didn't give it there. Sideways to Gillum. Hand pass to Kennedy. Has to get through and does. Schoenmakers takes it this time with some time to use. Off the Sewell to Ellis. Arch the back. Got away from Selwood. Kicked it out near Roughhead. Couldn't mark. Spins out of a tackle. Gives it off to Bateman. Snaps at goal. It's going to land in the square. Corey comes from the side to take the mark, and he'll get a 50-metre penalty after he was dumped by Osman. The score's a level after 8.5 minutes of the second two.
Did a good job of dumping himself. 4-3 apiece. We've had a goal to a point so far in this second quarter. We've been playing nearly 9 minutes. In midfield, Stokes gathers, hand pass to Tenace. And the pass is beautiful to Ablett, who plays on quickly, getting around onto his right. Kicks for Hawkins, who chest marks. 35 to 40 metres from goal. Gee, what a difference a couple of weeks has made for young Tom Hawkins.
Go back and kick the goal, son. He's trying to look off and just trying to get rid of it off the mark, and he just got to go back and kick these ones. This will make him a man, or a footballer, I mean.
6 marks in about 40 minutes for Hawkins. Close to the boundary line, Great Southern stand side. Kicking to the punt road goal from about 40 metres. Shot by Hawkins. Oh, it's good. They like it behind the goals. He signals and salutes and gets his second. And that splits the difference. Geelong 5-3, Hawthorn 4-3.
Well, it was just a wonderful kick. There's no doubt the young fellow was just really, I think, starting to feel he has a place to play in this game. Terribly important because I tell you, I reckon that in the 9 minutes of this quarter, Hawthorn have really thrown everything at Geelong players, and anybody, if you fumble with the ball below your knees, you're really going to cop it, and I know players are doing it. And all of a sudden you'll just find if you're not steeled enough, you take your eye off the ball. It's those 1-2 little fumbles, and they're at you. So the significance of that is that I just felt a few Geelong players just look a little bit uncertain about themselves. And for him to come out, take that mark on an angle and go back and kick it, that will be a real big fillip for his team.
Geelong by a goal. Simon Taylor, the hit out for the Hawks. Down to Sewell, who finds a way through the middle. Delivers up to half forward. Dowler set himself against Milburn. Milburn the spoil. Dowler the footy. Off to Franklin from 52. He's kicked a memorable goal. Even the best goal kicker in the game only had slight rights to be able to deliver from there. Franklin answers immediately. He has 2. The game is squared up at 5-3 apiece.
He's just to highlight that boy, just sensational. From 55 on the turn, kicks it, hits it hard, and it goes through 5 or 6 metres over the line. That is a massive kick from that side of the ground. On his wrong side again, he's just a genius at what he does. He just plays with freedom. It's fantastic to watch. The Hawks, this is a great game. It's blow for blow. They just keep going up and down the ground, taking marks, and the tall forwards are winning. We're starting to get some tall forwards kick goals. It's fantastic.
5 goals, 3 apiece. 11.5 minutes gone in the second quarter. Hawthorn defending their title. Coming back from the bounce in the middle. A fly hack out of there by Chapman. All the way to full forward. It's punched down to the front by Gillum. Grabbed by Birchall. Murphy goes back to Gillum. And across the ground he goes. On the bounce to Ellis, who's cornered. Draws a man. Hand pass to... Oh, Birchall, run down by Ablett. Oh, he got him in the back, said the umpire. Did carry him forward, but he's a little bit stiff too, Gazza. What closing speed he showed. Gee, it's good. Probably nearly worth giving away a free, though. Short pass across the ground to Murphy. And takes it up to Gillum. Kicks over centre wing. Lewis marks. Hand pass back to Dowler on the logo. He kicks long towards the 50. Franklin is there. outnumbered. Comes to the front to Roughhead. Sweeps a hand pass to Brown. Off to the boundary line, and Franklin from the boundary. He's bounced it through for a freak goal. He has kicked 3 phenomenal goals here today, and Hawthorn have hit the front 6-3 to 5-3.
I want to tell you what happened, but I'm not too sure myself. He is. No, that's not right. I nearly said he's a freak. He does freakish things. He does unbelievable things. Now, that ball's come to him. He's on the boundary, but he's meant it. I'm fair to him. He's dropped it on, not for one skerrick of a second didn't he think he was going to kick it. It was just the rest of us here were just watching as it bounced and sat up. I mean, if that doesn't set your team alight, nothing will. He is absolutely magnificent. He's now playing more around centre half forward because he and Roughhead are just swapping. But I'll tell you what, he's far more dangerous there than starting up on the wing.
People have still got a chance to get to this game, you know.
Yeah, please come along.
It's magnificent.
Hawthorn by a goal. Renoff in the middle, down to Sewell. They're winning the ball away from the stoppages. The Hawks out to Shields, sideways to Mitchell. Hand pass, bit lazy to Guerra. Didn't really set him up. To Shields, to Guerra. They're forward the middle. Guerra's the ball carrier. He's going deep for the forwards. Rapid! Splendid contested mark. Been harassed all the way down by Scarlett. Got his hands free as the ball dropped. Took it clean. He's only 25 metres out from the target, directly in front. Roughhead looking for his second. He's kicked that off the side of the boot and missed by so far you wouldn't believe. It snuck inside for a behind. Shocking contact. 6-4 to 5-3. It's the Hawks by 7.
What a game of football. 40 to 33. Mackie on the run, kicks outside the 50, glorious delivery, and Milburn takes the mark. Chance to catch our breath. Milburn's going to go backwards or across. Delivers it well. Wojcinski takes the mark. Nobody really standing the mark too closely. Franklin edges closer. Oh, he shepherded off beautifully. Wojcinski advances the ball up to Tenace. Short pass into Ablett. He just keeps getting the ball, Gary Ablett. At halfback, kicks over the wing. Rook! Oh, with a big climb, but actually he was up before acceptances and Murphy was there to take it, and the umpire has paid the mark to Murphy. Free kick, actually, he's paid to Gillam. Gets it into Mitchell. Steers it past to Campbell. Brown kicks for Franklin. Why not? Buddy, nearly the one-hander. Paddles the ball up the ground. Bateman. Franklin in with another chance. Scarlett beats him to it. Franklin dispossesses him. Bateman charges through. Ablett gets him high. Or Chapman it was. Play on, says the umpire. And now it will be a ball up on the 50. What a game. 40 to 33. Hawks by 7 points. Adam White.
Yeah, slight injury concern. Simon Hogan in discomfort down here on the bench. He can't get back out on the ground at the moment.
Free kick in the ruck against Renoff. It might have been just off the ball. It was to Hawkins. The Cats have used the advantage. Chapman from the wing went the centering ball. It was never on. Hawthorn have the numbers at the drop. Kennedy gets it out to Ellis. Off to Osborne. Inside the 50. Roughhead stretching. He doesn't lunge at it. Ball sits on its end. Rolls around the boundary. Scarlett and Roughhead pile in there on top of it. Umpire circles. Heel bounce it.
I would think that Mark Thompson would be worrying what he can do with his forward setup. His smalls are totally ineffective in the forward line, and the ease with which Hawthorn, Mitchell and Coa bring that ball out would really worry you.
Milburn got it from the stoppage in the back pocket to Corey, to Ablett. Had to get the nice little sidestep around. Did. Hand pass to Enright. Didn't handle it. Got it back. Hand pass to Milburn. Missed his target. Out of bounds. They're a little ragged, the Cats, at the moment.
The game is footy, not handy.
Yeah, a little victory for the Hawks. Keep it inside 50. Another ball up. Another chance.
Hawks by 7. 17 minutes tick by in the second term. Hawkins wins the tap. Dowler scraps for it. He's over it. He pulled it in. He's gone. Yes, he's gone. Geelong free kick. Get another chance to get it out of this back pocket.
Inside 50s this quarter. 11 to 5 for the Hawks.
Milburn places it carefully to Mackie. Flicks his hand pass off to Wojcinski. Gets a shepherd from Enright. Virginski kicks it forward to the middle. He's picked out Geelong. He's picked out the only hawk among three cats. He takes the mark at halfback.
6-4 to 5 goals, 3. Hawthorn lead. Gillam goes the short pass. Birchall marks. Sweeps a hand pass back to Guerra. Look, Murphy it was. Gee, took his time and was bowled over. And as a result, the kick not perfect. And in all sorts of trouble, McGlynn knocked off the footy. Comes to Chapman of the Cats. Back to the other nude nut, Ablett. His hand pass a bit slick for Hawkins, who had a bit of a fumble. They might turn it over. Oh, Gass is there. That's good enough. On the logo, centre wing. And Hawthorn have forced the ball up. Oh, no, the umpire is going to pay a free kick here. And Ray Chamberlain's had a best on ground quarter. Free kick goes to Brown. He kicks quickly to McGlynn at half forward, who takes the mark before Chapman could get back and cover. Short pass in. Bateman takes the mark, 60 out. Passes to Franklin, who marks 40 metres from goal.
Is it now time to get Scarlett on him? He's been there all the time. It's about time they put Scarlett on him. He can't just keep running there with Harry O'Brien, who just he's chopping him up completely.
And from what we've seen today, Buddy will just go back and kick this as easy as you like. He's kicked 3 glorious goals. One from the boundary, 50 out. One off his left from outside 50 on the turn, and one from the boundary from the impossible angle. This one is his 4th, right through the middle, and Hawthorn go to 7-4, leading Geelong 5-3.
Just good skill by the Hawks. Just chip passed around into space, and Buddy runs onto his chest. That was like he could have done it with his eyes closed, Buddy. The way he's been kicking them, been sensational. And they need to put Scarlett in. They need to change a few things around. They need to win the midfield. Is a big key. They're getting killed there. They're getting destroyed there, and their half-back line of Hawthorn is just repelling every attack, and they're killing them there. That when they zone, there's so much space to kick to a Cat player, they just keep picking out the Hawks. It's an amazing performance what they've done, the Cats. Held the ball well, haven't used it great.
Mark McClure with Stan Elves on Grandstand AFL. 4 goals to 1 for the turn. The Hawks have kicked 3 in a row again. About to enter time on.
Ball to Franklin, the last 3 goals.
13 points is the Hawthorn lead. Mumford climbs into Simon Taylor. There's a free kick. It's from off the ball. It is going Geelong's way. The non-officiating umpire seeing that Selwood was held. Breaking for him at half borders, Chapman. The kick's out in front of him. It bounces up over the top of him and sits for McGlynn, who gave it up with a loose hand pass to Corey inside the 50. Hodge makes the spoil on Ling. Brown and Gold swoop. Shields gave it up to Lonergan. Lonergan to the boot. Bounced it in the square. Gillam got back to concede the score with the 2 fists. It's 2 goals neat the Hawks' way.
Kick in, marked by Ellis, who finds McGlynn at centre half-back. Nearly cost him a goal then. He advances the ball to Lewis. Off to Rioli. A little toe poke off the left through the circles. Met by Mackie of the Cats. Slams them back to half forward. The ball bounces over the head of a few players. Comes to Chapman, who's wrapped up in a good tackle on the 50. The ump will bounce. Adam White.
Yeah, a significant positional change. Luke Hodges going back to half-back. He can't break the tag. He came to the bench, discussed it with the coaches upstairs. He's gone back, and it sees Cameron Ling playing as a half-forward flanker.
Well, whatever Hawthorn are doing, it's worked pretty well this quarter because they went in 5 points down, and in this term they've kicked 4 goals 1, and the Cats 1 goal 2.
Blood rule. Chappie's got a whack in the eye.
Yeah, Chappie's coming off with blood coming out of his right eye.
Scarlett has gone to Franklin.
Is he tuned into the ABC?
Coaching role for you.
It's too easy to pick up. It's a joke.
2-goal lead here to the Hawks. So after the blood rule, we get the bounce. A lot of players around it. Cats need something from this. It's not coming out. The ump will bounce again.
Been plenty around it too. Geelong into attack. And probably needing the next one in the game. Shields is able to take it from the stoppage. His hand pass isn't tidy though. Selwood slips in. His hand pass didn't find a teammate. Osborne wins it for the Hawks. Murphy to Guerra to Ellis. He gives it on to Bateman. Racing through half-back. Hand pass to Shields. Gives it off to Lewis. Quick kick inside the 50. There's going to be a Hawthorn free. The umpires just haven't entirely decided what to do. Shields got felled after he got rid of it. And it wasn't downfield at that stage in terms of being inside the 50 because Shields gave it to Lewis. So it will come back to Lewis inside the centre square. Geelong have pushed all their numbers back. Lewis hand passes to Guerra, tries to pick out the pass at the 50 and misses whoever he was after. It cleared Rioli, and Selwood takes the mark for Geelong. Tenace is open on the broadcast wing. Coming back was Brown. Tenace took the mark. Stokes over the top, 30 metres further afield. He marks. Rook is on the lead. So too is Ling and Mackie. Stokes, though, is going sideways. Bounces it to Milburn. Hand passed under pressure to Scarlett. To Ling at the interchange gates. He's caught, dragged down by Guerra. Ball slips away, out of play.
Now, I tell you, Stokes is rattled, and I'll tell you why, because early on he got a burst because he flew when he shouldn't. He's just before he should have taken a mark. He was tentative, and that time he's just really beaten at the moment, the kid.
Bartel, third man up, wins it, but comes down to Lewis. Hand pass back for Sewell to Mitchell. Mitchell dodges past a would-be tackler and kicks towards half forward. Middle of the pack, bunted forward by Milburn to Mackie. Mackie's run down, a good tackle by Dowler. Hand pass comes out to Selwood, though. Selwood, little left footer on the bounce to Mumford. Well, he did well to get it to Milburn. Off to Ablett through the middle. Shares it with Stokes. Gary Ablett, magnificent.
Oh, it slips over.
Yeah, it was all set for Rook, but he slipped at the last moment. Now it's a contest at centre half forward for the Cats. And the Hawks are going to block this up.
Ray.
But Ray Chamberlain has paid a free kick for holding. Geelong's free right in front.
They've been in trouble without Ablett. I'll tell you,
he's had 11 for the quarter, Gary Ablett, and 18 for the game.
Yeah.
We're at the 24-minute mark of the second quarter.
And I'll tell you what, it's been against the tide in this quarter.
Hawkins with the free kick. Got a chance to kick his third. We've got Franklin at one end and Hawkins at the other end. Delighting us, but that was a scrambly old free kick from a holding with about 8 players around the contest. Hawkins in front, 35 out, and he's hooked it for goal and has missed. Is there justice in the world? 2 goals, 2 for Hawkins. It's 7-4 to 5-5.
Adam White.
Yeah, significant down here. Jared Matthews. Scarlett's come to the bench. He's being assessed by the medical team down here. It's a right leg injury. It doesn't look good.
There was a whisper around that he wasn't entirely sound coming in here today. Guerra's kicking is a howler. He's kicking it straight to Mooney. Wherever he was trying to guide it, he's made shocking contact.
Hey, look at Hodgie. Look at Hodgie getting into Mooney. He's talking about his kicking. Yeah. He's right in his ear. He's as close as he can, and he's given it to him. Look at him following him.
Mooney with an earful drives the goal home.
And now look at Mooney go back to Hodge.
Penny for your thoughts, lads. An important goal for the Cats against the flow. They trail by 5 points. Hawthorne 7-4 to Geelong 6-5. We've crossed 25 minutes. Adam.
Yeah, Jared, it's either a groin or a quad, and it's on the right leg, which is obviously his kicking leg. There is major concern because 3-4 members of the Geelong medical team are assessing him as we speak. So major reason for concern.
Well, it's just an amazing game of football, isn't it? We're talking about Hawthorn just going absolutely superb, and it actually then takes a kicking error from Guerra, who's such a lovely kick of the ball, and Mooney couldn't believe his luck. And we just talked about the byplay with Hodge getting in him, but he went back and it was a very good kick because it's under a lot of pressure, and it was desperately needed by his team.
Back to within 5 points, the Cats. Mumford wins in the middle, but it comes Hawthorn's way. Kennedy gets a hand pass. Now Sewell to Guerra. This is a better kick by Guerra in the direction of Dowler, who works Mackie off the ball. Dowler doubles back. He's inside the 50, paddling it out in front of himself. Well done by Enright, taken to ground by Dowler. Oh, Rioli gathers it, kicks a magnificent shot for goal. It's just offline and through for a behind. That was every bit as good as whatever Buddy's done today or what Leon Neon did last night. Sensational by Rioli. Behind of the year.
Little known but much appreciated category. Milburn plays onto himself from the kick in and hoofs it long. Mumford probably mistimed the leap. Guerra made the spoil, put it out of bounds. Outside the defensive 50 as far as Geelong is concerned, but in dispute as it's tossed back into play. Simon Taylor and Mumford shoulder to shoulder. Taylor the tap for the Hawks. Corey though with the clearance. Hand pass to Enright. Put it forward to Selwood. Ran straight into Simon Taylor, but got the hand pass away. Baczynski got caught. Took a long time. Penalised holding the ball. Rioli initially pinned the arm. That's what won the free kick. Rioli hand passes to Guerra. High and not terribly caring inside the 50. Rough head though. Climbs again. He had 3 to beat and he's done it with aplomb. Jared Roughhead, second towering grab of the quarter. The first he frittered away terribly with a rotten shot at goal. He's just as close. 25 out. Roughhead misses again. Hit it better, but dragged it across the face. 7-6-48 Hawthorn, 6-5-41 Geelong. 28 minutes gone of the second.
Looks like Cam Mooney's changed jumpers. Milburn kicks to himself. Gets a good shepherd. Sweeps a hand pass to Taylor. Oh, Taylor, Bartel under pressure, and Bartel trying to get it back to Taylor as hand pass out of bounds. Great pressure by the Hawks forwards.
Yeah, they're trying, Geelong, aren't they? They're trying to get that run and go, but the Hawthorn are absolutely switched on and magnificent.
Throw in at the 50. Clean possession taken by Renault. Gets the hand pass away. Franklin working back near centre wing. Receives from Lewis. What a pass. Oh, it should have been gobbled by Osborne. He spilled it. Sewell gathers. Hand pass comes up. Ellis back to Franklin. He uses the palm off and comes out without the ball. Well done, Stokes, fighting out of his weight division. And he forces a ball up in the middle of the ground.
He needed that, Stokesy, because that was a very good effort. That's what you love from a coach's perspective. He's not having a good day, but he did the team thing.
The bounce. Simon Taylor against Mumford. Taylor gets the hand pass wide to Sewell, who's in space. He gets to 50 and hoists it long and high. Offline and through for a minor score. Score to Brad Sewell, playing his 100th game today. Hawthorn 7-7, lead Geelong 6-5, 29 and a half gone, second quarter.
Milburn not terribly sure, goes himself out into the pocket, kicks long for Mumford, who arrives but can't hang on to the mark. Out of bounds again, 60 away from the defensive goal. Inside the final minute of the half. Hawthorn by 8 points. Ball thrown back into play. Mumford knocks it straight down to Kennedy of the Hawks. He gave it up to Selwood and then compounded the error by tackling him high. Joel Selwood at right half back with the free kick and not in a terrific hurry to use it. Oh, he's kicked it sideways to Lonergan. Brown saw it coming, intercepts, plays on, shouldn't have, spins out of a tackle, kicks a goal, yes! Campbell Brown made it so much harder than it was. Splendid goal with a siren sounding for half-time. A real booster to the Hawks, who take a 14-point lead to the main break. 8-7-55, Geelong 6-5-41. The Hawks kicked 5 goals, 4 for the Tomb. The Cats added 2 goals, 3. It is a tight-knit Hawthorn huddle as they'll trot from the field and they'll get some sort of response. The resurrection is on. Milburn finds himself in the middle of it. He has a few choice words as the brown and gold wave passes by. It's a pretty good sight if you're a Hawthorn fan. 14-point leaders, the goal kickers. Franklin has 4, 3 in that quarter. Roughhead, Lewis, Osborne and Campbell Brown right on the bell. 2 each for Mooney, Hawkins and Rook for the Cats. Grandstand AFL has a spine tingler.
Just 3 goal kickers for the Cats. That's unlike them.
Your thoughts, Mark McClure, Stan Elves?
Oh, what a ripper game it is. Great quarter of football, the first quarter. Outstanding. Like 2 champs going at each other, blow for blow. It was just fantastic what they did. The Cats started off with Rookie, kicked a couple of goals early. And then Mooney and Hawkins, who we've talked about a hell of a lot. Their goal kicking and their prowess up forward. And they haven't been the greatest, but they started very, very well. And they got a couple as well. Lance Franklin, Roughhead and Osborne chipped in. Great tackling. Attack on the ball was super from both sides. Just an outstanding quarter of football. The second quarter started. Lewis got an early goal. First goal, it's a ripper. Right on the boundary line, chipped it in and just rolled it round as we see some of the great players do these days. Fantastic goal. Then young Murphy and Mooney show us what this game's all about. They ran at each other and went bang, and it was just an incredibly... Eyes on the ball, both of them. It's a super clash, and everyone on the ground loved every second of it. They knew what it actually meant to both sides. Tommy Hawkins marks inside 50, kicks a goal. Good signs for the Cats. That's exactly what they wanted. Then Buddy show. Here she comes. Buddy Franklin kicks a classic from 55. Then he said, well, that wasn't good enough. I'm going to kick a better one. And he did again, from right on the boundary line. And then he got another one again. And then he did an easy one from 35. I think he had his eyes closed when he did that one as well. It was just sensational to see Buddy there kick 3 in a row. It was just magnificent. And then all of a sudden, the Cats are fighting. Ablett's killing them, absolutely destroying them, but he has no mates. He's got no one out there to help him. Greer's quick, poor kick in. Mooney marks one, goes back and kicks a goal, as you should. Gets one back from him. Hawks are winning in the midfield, dramatically killing them in the midfield. Every ball up and boundary throw in, they are winning, and if they're not, they're harassing them just super. They are putting so much pressure on. Then the Cats give the Hawks a goal, just on the siren. Campbell Brown, that hurt, big time. 14 points in front. Hawks. Cats, I mean. Hawks, I mean.
Well, well, mate, the momentum's with them, and it was just interesting, wasn't it? Watch the two sides walk off. For Hawthorn, just know where they're at because they are controlling the game, and they were just as one. They were upbeat and everything like that. Their challenge as they go in the rooms now is to not get too excited and get ahead of themselves. Geelong, on the other hand, they were dispirited, disjointed. A couple of the senior players had to call them together as a group, and their big challenge now is to get themselves back on track and get their head up. Why are Hawthorn in front from my perspective? I think because they're winning the pressure stakes. Their tackles have been far better. They've just monstered Geelong where it's counted, and I would say a couple of Geelong players have second grabbed the footy because so much pressure's there. Hawthorn's ability to win the ball through those midfields, they got control there. They're able to take it away so often. They rip the ball out and release somebody on the run. They've dominated out of defence. Their defensive run, apart from the talls, found their takes are good marks. When the balls come in, the run out of the back line by Hawthorn has been absolutely sensational. And, of course, they've got Franklin and Roughhead up there. And Cats are probably lucky that Roughhead's not kicking as well. But Franklin's making up by just kicking them from anywhere. And it's been fantastic. And why is that? What's it translated into it? Well, it's translated into a Geelong side uncharacteristically making errors. Making errors because they're trying to force to make things happen. And so often they're getting caught out because I think they've got so many players down on form that they'd normally rely on that they're doing that one handball, that two handball. In the past, you'd think they're going to be caught, but they've had numbers. They don't have them now because blokes are on their back foot. They've been knocked about, I think, mentally by Hawthorn, and as a result, the Hawks are able to crunch them and get it on the rebound. There was concerns, obviously, in the defensive area for Geelong. They've become ragged down there. The big question over Scarlett, but just they're trying to get the matchups. They've thrown blokes all over the field to try and get them. And the other end, I think the ineffective of the Geelong small forwards, who normally are very good. We've seen nothing from their blokes down there, so it's a massive challenge. If there's a positive for Geelong, is the fact that they've got so many players who, if they get back in the game and can become contributors, they can get back into us. Hawthorn deserved their 14-point lead. They have certainly been the better side in this second term. But to say they're out of this game, you'd be fooling yourselves.
What a second half lies ahead of us. Hawthorn by 14 points. Scarlett's not there. Scarlett has not come back out with the Geelong side after half-time. Jared Cameron, what do the numbers say?
Thanks, Jared. Sam Mitchell's had the leading number of possessions on the ground. He's had 19, another 7 that quarter. Lewis and Guerra and Sewell all 15, Bateman and Franklin 12. Buddy Franklin's had 5 kicks, 4 goals, only taken the 2 marks. For Geelong, Ablett with 11 possessions that quarter has had 18, 9 kicks, 9 hand passes and 3 marks. Joel Sell with 17 possessions, Milburn 14, Corey 13, Enright and Taylor 10. Inside 50s favour Hawthorn 28-19, and the centre clearances favour Hawthorn 7-4. Geelong's had 55 marks to Hawthorn's 38. Free kicks are Geelong 11 and Hawthorn 15. And in the ruck, it's Geelong 22 to Hawthorn 15.
Just off the board, handballs. Geelong's had 79 hand passes to 93 kicks. Hawthorn's had 127 hand passes to 88 kicks.
That's amazing because Geelong are a hand passing, that's their style of play. And the Hawks have just handballed them crazy today. 127 to half time.
Amazing.
Michael.
And put that into context, so often with Geelong, they're attacking handballs, but today they've been under pressure handballs, whereas I think the Hawthorn have been far more used in an attacking mode.
Second half, siren sounds. Hawthorn by 14 on Grandstand AFL. Drew Morford.
Ray Chamberlain throws it into the ground. Taylor wins for the Hawks. Through Sewell it goes, but his hand pass is errant. Finishes up eventually with Michael Osborne, but Ray Chamberlain's blown the whistle, and it's going to be a Cats free kick to Stokes. Over the shoulder, signals Ray. Just alongside the circles. Cats need something this quarter. Down by 14 points. Hawks have all got back, and they're all in half of the ground. Stokes goes sideways. Mark taken by Lonergan. He kicks long. Hawkins! Oh, Ablett in front. And the mark paid to Gary Ablett. He didn't have it for a long time, but the umpire said he controlled it long enough. Paid the mark 48 metres from goal. And the Hawks fans who just saw the replay still don't believe it's a mark. He goes in short, and Chapman marks on a good lead. Chappie. Still in
forced to hug the boundary though, aren't they? And I suppose that's fair enough. They retain possession because Hawthorn just, if we look out there now, every Hawthorn player in the defensive zone at the moment, and they are just zoning. They're just looking, they're just guarding that little bit of territory, looking at each other, saying, no, you get there, you get there. We're just going to cover every little bit of space we can.
Chapman 4 or 5 paces in from the boundary line and kicking from 35 metres across the face of goal. Actually didn't bring up the distance, and it was rushed through in defence by Simon Taylor for a behind of the Cats. Adam White.
Jared mentioned that Matthew Scarlett didn't come out with his teammates. He's only just emerging now from the rooms, hobbling to the bench. It does appear that his day may be over with that right groin injury.
Quera in long, but Mumford camped himself in front and took the mark for the Cats. 60 metres out from goal. He dabs it backward to Mackie. Mackie's just about in the middle. Looks up to half forward. Stokes was on a lead. He aborts that. Mackie goes longer to a contest. Hawkins has the run. He rises. He doesn't mark. Rook caught by Ellis. Dragged into the ground. Players pile on. It'll be bounced. 40 metres out from the Geelong goal. Going to the city end.
They've instilled some confidence in young Tom in the last few weeks.
Hawks by 13. Simon Taylor the tap out wide. Shark by Chapman. He rolls it at goal and turns it in. Split a day for those kind of goals. An important one for the Cats. The first of the second half. They trail by 7 points. 8-7 to 7-6.
That's the way to do it. Win a ball up, win a boundary throw, get the ball into your space, and they've actually come out with a new vigour. They've jumped into the midfield. They're not actually running with anybody. They're actually going to target the ball now, and that's a really good idea because that's how you win the game. And Chapman was fantastic. He's had 2 shots at goal in the last 2 minutes, and the second one went through.
Yep, started with Leon Davis last night, and everybody's trying to outdo him for the one that breaks through for the goal.
Yeah, they've gone with Ablett, Corey, and Selwood as their starting 3 with Mumford.
Let's go. That's what that means.
Here's the bounce, a beauty. Straight up and down it goes. Mumford wins down to Corey, and he's caught inside the bullseye. Ball's bobbling around in there. Lewis gets a touch and stood up in the tackle, and the umpire will bounce again. 55 to 48. 7-point lead to the Hawks. 3.5 gone, third quarter. Mumford over the top, wins the hit out again. Comes down. Not coming clear once more, and the umpire will have to come in and do it all again.
Ling has followed Hodge. Hodge is starting down the back, and Ling is just staying with him as he's done all the game.
Simon Taylor wins this for the Hawks. Who's going to get the next touch? I think the umpire will have a fourth bounce. He's got away from the circles. He might have plucked a free kick here eventually. He was going to bounce it, and now he has plucked a free kick. Geelong's goes to Mumford. His improvement's been outstanding. He kicks out wide inside the 50. It bounces around now, sits up for Hogan. Hogan has the kick smothered. He took too long, and Sean Marcus closed him down, smothered it out of bounds.
First thought, best thought, and the minute he stopped and went back inside, he enabled the player to smother. He should have just kicked it straight to the top of the square.
Ablett and McGlynn having a ferocious tussle off the ball from the tap. Ellis as Albert claiming in defence for the Hawks. Hand passed it off to Birchall, to McGlynn, to Ellis, to Birchall, to McGlynn. So they each had 2 touches working around in a triangle. Now out to half-back for Bateman, Rioli, and back to Bateman, back to Rioli, brought down. That's caught. The Hawks are doing it in pairs. Rioli's going to settle it by steaming through. He didn't make good contact on the kick. It rolls to Hodge, blind hand pass to Osborne, high into the pocket, Franklin against the boundary, it floats away out on the floor before Franklin could claim it.
Claim the mark 3 seats into the crowd. Oh, in short. Bartell, it's a rare touch, away to Mackie, up to centre half, back to Selwood. Now out to Lonergan, who's blindsided. Franklin's got him. No free kick for that. Sewell grabs it. The hand pass is good, and the short pass up is marked by Roughhead, 40 metres from goal. Came from Xavier Ellis, who's been an outstanding player today for the Hawks.
Set up by a great tackle.
Yeah, an outstanding tackle.
Ruffy.
He does it all, buddy.
He's been wayward today with 1 goal, 2. This virtually in front, 40 metres out. Roughhead for goal. Kaz kicked it. A goal each, third quarter. Hawthorn 9-7, Geelong 7 goals 6.
Well, it was a great tackle, but Tom Lonergan, he's been around long enough to know that he's just, I don't know what he was daydreaming trying to do. Son, when you're down there, just get it and kick it out. I know it probably doesn't suit their game plan, but it just summed up to me the ability of Hawthorn to bring the ball out of the defensive zone. Their handballs were crisp. They ran, they gave, they're in numbers. Whereas what happens comes down the other end, Geelong get the 1-2. Lonergan looks up because he's nobody there, nobody in support. And just to me, just illustrates Hawthorn are really on. They're really switched on. Geelong, really, they're just fighting their demons at the moment because they cannot make it happen.
Stan Elves on Grandstand AFL. 13 points the Hawthorn lead, 7 minutes into the third quarter. Renoff won the tap. Corey had a possession. It tumbled to Bartell, who gave it to Ablett to Enright and back to Ablett, all under duress and all giving ground. Sideways the kick from Ablett to Mackie. Mackey's looking for the way forward. Risky kick. Floats away from Mumford, who makes the spoil on Renoff. The Hawks come up with it though. Mitchell off to Kennedy, to Murphy. Sweeping hand pass for Sewell. Got around Bartell. Cut back into the middle. Got it off to Mitchell. Pinpoint kick to Guerra. Deadly from long range at times. Franklin's got it. Edge of the goal square. It's going to be a 5th goal for Lance Franklin. Matthew Scarlett sits forlorn on the bench and Buddy cashes in. Biggest lead so far. It's 19 points the Hawks' way. 10-7-67. Geelong 7-6-48.
All set up by a beautiful piece of work by Brad Sewell in the middle of the ground to win the ball back. He just wrong-footed them all. He's strong, he's clever, he's quick. And I'd hate to run into him in a dark lane, I can assure you. He is just a fantastic player, and he set that goal up. When Buddy's won out down there against Harry Taylor, he has just killed him. Every time he's been one out with him. I haven't got anyone else at the moment. That's the problem.
Could be getting out of hand here for the Cats. Bounce in the middle. Mumford has a run at them and wins the hit out, gets it going the Cats' way, but coming in the opposite direction, Guerra for Hawthorn. Hand pass to Dowler, hand pass off McGlynn, beautiful pass to Franklin again, who's killing Harry Taylor. He marks, wheels around, kicks from 60, Buddy to the goal square, Campbell Brown is there and marks! Did the umpire pay it? He didn't. He fell to ground, ball jolted free, still there for the Hawks. Hawks fans saying, what about the mark umpire?
Oh no. Ray's into it. Oh, he done another one.
And Ray Chamberlain has paid a free kick here to the Geelong defence. Let's have another look on the replay. Brown, he had a good hold of it. Well, that's a mark, isn't it?
Milburn in the back pocket. Stabs it up the middle to Enright.
I need to take some risks.
That ball,
but not risky as that.
That ball went into Hawthorn's forward line because a Geelong player could not keep his head over the ball and was clean bowled. His Hawthorn opponent one grab.
Enright outside defensive 50.
There's another
Sewell
one.
got in the way, knocked it down. Shields hand pass, didn't find a target. Burns picked it off. Hand pass to Chapman. The Cats try to get off halfback. Sideways kick to Selwood. Sweeping hand pass to Tenace. Ran into a tackle. Got it off though to Mumford. To Mackie. Kicks across the centre square to Ablett. Has it. Checks the kick to the 50. Hawkins slides in. Didn't complete the mark. Under pressure. Ellis works it out and the Hawks survive. Murphy brings it out to the broadcast wing. Over the shoulder of Osborne. Runs onto it. Delivers to Franklin. 2 paces clear of Harry Taylor. But 80 metres from goal. Franklin into the pocket. Brown doesn't hang on without dispute this time. It's bounced off his hands and out of play. Adam White.
Michael Osborne's hurt his right ankle. He hurt it about 10 minutes ago. He was coming to the bench, got involved in that part of the play. Now straight to the bench, shoe off.
19-point lead to the Hawks from the boundary throw-in. It's belted back towards the boundary line by Mumford and will get another throw-in. Hawthorne looking irresistible here. They lost 4 games in 5 weeks, but have won their last 2, looking to make it a hat-trick today. From the throw-in, Renouf wins the hit-out, comes underfoot, Mumford applies a tackle. He's pretty good at that, Mumford. The second efforts, if he doesn't win in the ruck, he'll follow up with a tackle. And he's put Mark Blake deep into the distance, you reckon. Here's the bounce. Third man up, Corey, comes to Selwood. Oh, tackle by Franklin was high. Free kick to Selwood. See, but Buddy's doing all the hard work. Blue collar, I'd call it.
I might say, Selwood's one bloke who he takes one grab because he keeps his eye on the ball. That's why he gets frees. A few of his teammates aren't doing it.
He goes the short pass, comes out wide to Tenace. Still at half-back flank. He kicks inside the centre square. Lonergan marks. Hand pass to Selwood. Hand pass off to Mackie. Back to Selwood through the circles. Further hand pass. It's opened right up here. Varco on to Burns. Burns near attacking 50. Hand pass to Ling, but it was a half volley for the redhead. He gathers. Left foot's to goal. Has he got enough on it? Yes, with the help of a Shepherd. One into the ground of the other. The goal to Cameron Ling. Cats 8-6. Hawks 10-7.
Yeah, he's up for it because he's on Hodge. But that was the best piece of play we've seen the Cats play all day. Just took some risks through the middle of the ground, used the middle of the ground as you actually have to do. They've been out too wide most of the day and they used the middle of the ground, just pushed it in there. Burns was a good decision to go long. Cameron Ling was a very, very precise kick to kick it from where he was, under some pressure.
Adam White.
Oh dear, this is getting chaos for Geelong here. Harry Taylor now. He's off the ground, down into the rooms with the doctor, limping. Not good news. The 2 key defenders off the ground and possibly out of the game.
Wouldn't you be?
So Mackie's now picking up Franklin.
It's Hawthorn by 13 points on Grandstand AFL. Mumford wins the tap, but McGlynn is going through for the Hawks. Wheels out onto the right boot, kicks inside the 50. Rioli didn't mark, he's following on. He catches Milburn, so does Brown. Umpire circles a bounce. 45 out from the Hawthorn goal. Harley didn't take his place. Scarlett is injured and out of the game, and Taylor heading to the rooms. The key defenders all gone. Mackie is with Franklin. Roughheaders rising in the contest. Punches it outside the attacking 50. Mishandled by Lewis. Kennedy makes it all right. Kicks it back deep forward over the top of Roughhead. He's got the run at it. He's got it in the pocket. Milburn came through like a goalkeeper to tunnel it through on the last line. It's 14 points the Hawks.
And the quick exit from there with the mark taken by Varco. They're off to the races, the Cats. Up to Selwood, now to Chapman. Kicked by Chappie over the wing and the mark taken by Burns. Great southern stand side. Quick move by the Cats. He kicks down the line to half forward and Joel Corey goes up to take the mark. Still too far out to score at left half forward flank. Steers the pass in. Looking for Rook. Has started like a house on fire. No mark this time. All Hawthorn at ground level. Little hand pass Murphy. Mitchell showing markers. Back he goes to Ellis, who steers the pass looking for Lewis, but whipping in is Selwood to take the mark right in front. Lewis was a sitting duck.
Fantastic reading of the play, but gee, it's dangerous when you bring that ball back into the centre corridor. It's fraught with danger and good players are able to sweat on it unless it's a precision kick, and it just hung up long enough and Lewis was really camped on it, nothing he could do.
So Joel Selwood from right in front, 40 metres out at the city end, kicks the goal. Cats alive and well after the mistake by the Hawks coming out. Geelong 9-6-60, get to within 8 points. The Hawks 10-8-68.
Well, they are, and I don't think it's any coincidence that what's happened in the last few minutes. Selwood's been sensational. I mean, he's started the goal before, and then he's finished that one off, so his involvement. But I thought also that some of the smaller players, such as Burns, such as Varco, starting to run, starting to create and to provide targets, not just being spectators, sit back playing secondary roles, and it's just so important. That was really Varco's ability to run and become a target, then feed it off to Selwood, then to Ablett to get the ball in that forward line just becomes an important thing. If those players can lift and give their other teammates a bit of a chance, they're in the game.
Hawthorne by 8 points. Bounce to be contested by Hawkins against Simon Taylor. Taylor wins the tap for the Hawks. Enright off the wing, claimed possession, had it ripped from his grasp by Sewell, but he couldn't make anything of it. Adam?
Come back to the bench. He's just being treated right in front of me at the moment with the physio working pretty much on his low part of his stomach, so I'm really not sure what the injury is.
Bounce outside the 2 circles. Taylor for the Hawks. Down to Sewell with a hand pass. Caught by Enright. Got it out to Lewis. Wrapped up by Corey and Boones as well.
It's pretty obvious to me that Geelong have really been stung by the fact that they've been out-muscled in those clinches, and they are really tackling with an aggression that hasn't been seen in the first half.
Kick 2 in a row, and Corey's the third man up, and he opens it up with a punch down to Burns. Kick up to half forward. Hodge out positioned Ling. Put the spoil on. Ball bounces away from the pair and out of play. Under the southern stand at half forward for the Cats. Plenty trot down to be around it. Hawkins takes front position and wins the tap. Selwood in everything. He's running away from where he wants to be. Going backwards. Ran too far. He had a bounce, but Ray Chamberlain out-counted him.
Ran too far going backwards. That's a double crime.
The free kick will go the way of Campbell Brown. Defensive side of the wing. Everybody manned up ahead. So Brown will have a run out to the side and try to kick it all the way across the ground. He's looking for Gillum. Mooney comes with him. Gillum put a nice fist onto it, but it was gathered by Tenace. Hand pass to Chapman. Kicks it out for Burns. Just forward of the middle. Needs support. Hand pass to Stokes. He lost it. Wrapped up by Hodge. Gillum gets in there. Hodge wins it out to Birchall, to McGlynn. Hand pass back to Sewell wasn't great, but he bullocked his way through. Off to Gillum. Now it comes the way of Guerra. Running toward the wing. Varco coming at him. Hand passes it up to Birchall. Now to McGlynn. Kick up to half forward. Roughhead coming out. Marks it centre half forward. Hand pass to Bateman. Dowler's his man. He'll take it in the pocket. He was knocked over. The mark was paid. There's going to be no 50. It is Dowler's ball. 45-degree angle out to the right. Stokes at the other end is left to lament his fumble.
Took his eyes off it.
Ball should have been in Geelong's forward line. Instead, it's in the hands of Bo Dowler with a kick from 45. It's right. It is a 9-point lead the way of the Hawks. 10-9 to 9-6, Adam White.
The Cats continue to work on Harry Taylor. I reckon it's a groin problem on his kicking leg, which is his left leg. And while that's going on, Michael Osborne has reappeared. He's had his ankle retaped. I don't think he's 100%, but he's desperate to get back in the action.
Milburn in short. Bartel marks in the back pocket. Now he goes for a bit of distance. Rook has the climb at him and takes a screaming mark. Plays on quickly to Selwood, who's the go-to man. He kicks to midfield. Ling takes the mark. Hand pass back to Selwood. Here they go again, the Cats through the corridor. Burns gets the hand pass away. Oh, you're in trouble. Enright in the middle of the ground. In goes Selwood. There's a push in the back. He is playing it hard and fierce. The man he got was Hodge. Hodge takes the free kick. Short pass out wide to Schoenmakers. Just near the logo, members wing. He kicks long to full forward. Ruffy. Oh, climbs. Graceful, but couldn't come down with the mark. At ground level, Lonergan happy to see the ball over the boundary line and keep it away from Buddy Franklin. 69 plays 60. Hawthorn 10-9 to 9 goals 6. The light's on, even though there's plenty of blue sky about. The throw in, won by Roughhead for the Hawks. It comes to Tenace of Geelong. Out at the 50. Hawkins crashes through the pack. Didn't do a lot to get rid of it. The umpire said, well, no prior, give it to me, I'll ball it up. Selwood in this quarter, 9 possessions, 26 for the game.
Our Western Australian audience about to head to the Derby at Subi. If you've got the internet, I'd be inclined to stay with us at afl.com.au. You'll find us there. Hawthorn at half forward. Bateman from the stoppage. Off to Schoenmakers. Kick was smothered by Enright. Still in dispute. Simon Taylor works a hand pass out in front of Shields. Got it to his boot. Into the pocket. Rioli with the flight. Not 15. Cuts back through 3. Got held up at the last. Hand pass to Lewis. Backward to Shields. He'll get the kick away to full forward and across the face. Through for a behind. Enjoy the Derby. On we go here. It is a 10-point lead the way of the Hawks.
Dasher Milburn to kick in. 249th game today. Short to Mackie, who's playing on Franklin. He's about third choice. Mackie gets it outside 50 to Chapman, who marks at half-back. Up short of centre wing to Ling, who takes the mark right below us. He squares the ball into Burns. Burns, a shocking kick straight to Sammy Mitchell in the middle of the ground, as though Mitchell was wearing the hoops. He marks. Hand pass to Dowler. Hand pass off to Guerra. He can nearly kick this from 65. He goes long to full forward. Well done by Bartel to work in front of Bateman. Bartel punches. Roves his own footy. Gets it to Tenace. Beautiful pass out of defence. And the mark taken by Hogan at left half-back. Goes the short pass. Still short of the wing. And Tenace has it. Great Southern stand side of the ground. 70 plays 60. It's been a crackerjack game. Worthy of a grand final. Further short pass, and Varco, true centre wing.
Varco guides his pass up for Mooney. He's kicked it too strongly. It falls for Mitchell instead, and the Hawks come back the other way. Pulls the kick near the middle for Lewis. Has a run at the defence and then flicks his hand pass off to Osborne, trying to stretch out. Hand passes sideways to Dowler. He's going for Franklin. Mackie has front position. Franklin makes the spoil. Milburn and Mackie combine. Mackie stands in the tackle and gives it to Enright. Kicks up the members' wing. Ling marks and plays on. Puts it out in front of Stokes. Needs a win. Knocks it on to Burns. Dragged down by Guerra. Stokes follows up. Shovels it out in front. Gets it out of play at half forward for the Cats. 70 plays 60.
I think Buddy's coming to the bench. Mackie might have done the best out of anyone back there.
22 and a half gone to the third term. Thrown in with the Cats in attack. Simon Taylor, though, beautiful tap. Down to Lewis, to Mitchell, to Ellis, to Birchall. He gives his hand pass away to Murphy, and the kick into the middle is good. Schoenmakers in the bullseye. Delivers, looking for Lewis, going with the flight. Needs a bounce. Lonergan comes the other way. Lewis knocked it onto Roughhead. Got caught. Rushing at him was Enright. It was brave stuff by Lewis, and then terrific by Enright to shut it down. The ball rolls out off the boot of Roughhead into the pocket to be thrown in.
And Franklin has gone to the bench. 5 goals straight, Buddy's kick today. Mumford wins the hit out. Bartel a hand pass to Ling. Hand pass to Corey. Comes out to Corey now. He loses it. Shields intercepts. Kicks to the goal square. Brown is there. And Rioli. Rioli gathers. 5 metres out. Snaps the goal. Rioli's first goal. Steadier for the Hawks. 11-10 to 9-6.
Well, it's just the opportunist, isn't he? But I had a couple of shots there of Mark Thompson in the coach's box, and he's got the arms crossed and he's just shaking the head. He cannot believe the errors that are being made by his quality players, but it's come about because of pressure. Because pressure from every Hawthorn player, putting it on all the time. You just at them and at them and at them, and they're just causing turnover. And Rioli, it doesn't get much, but I tell you what, when he goes near it, he's just fantastic. And he has the ability to be able to prop and spin virtually on a 5-cent piece, just spin around the corner. I don't think any of us were in any doubt he was going to kick a goal, and he duly delivered.
Stan Elves on Grandstand AFL. Bounce is not a terrific one in the middle. It comes the way of Sewell, who's dragged down by Selwood. The two toughest nuts on the field. Adam White.
Because they're down to 2 on the bench, Jared, it means that Selwood, he came for a break, but he can only have about a minute before he has to go back on because they're down on rotations.
Franklin is going back on. Roughead has come to the bench. Mumford wins the tap and he knocks it to the advantage of Stokes. Hand pass to Selwood, releasing ball to Mooney. Got to 50, kicks it goal. Ablett on the goal line.
Gee, that Selwood's a gem.
Isn't he?
She's a gem. Unbelievable.
Gary Ablett can cancel out the Rioli goal. He does. 10-point deficit the Cats are facing. It's 11-10 to 10-6. 25 minutes gone of the third.
Well, Joel Selwood was just outstanding. He's just magnificent in the middle of the ground. And Gary Ablett's been fantastic as well. They're still in this game. This will be one of the great games to win. You know, we got 2 people down the bench. You sit there, you think about games you played in. This would be a magnificent win if the Cats can pull this off. They're still in it.
10 points the difference. Approaching the 26-minute mark of the third quarter.
Mitchell's gone in for a run through the midfield with Sewell. He's in there as well as McGlynn. Rook is gone in as well. So Rook might just be following Mitchell wherever he goes. I'm just a bit unsure of that one. We've got Sewell in there who's just doing a power of body work.
The bounce. Oh, charging through. Terrific effort in there by Hogan. Well, the first possession is Stokes. Gives it up to Sewell. Hand pass back to Mitchell. Mitchell's kick up towards half forward. Awkward bouncing ball. Cats have the numbers. Bartell's had a better third quarter than first half. Oh, Osborne bumps a man out of the way, gets the ball up the ground, and a shot for goal on the run by Brown is another one for the Hawks. Goal to Campbell-Brown. Michael Osborne attacked that ball in the middle like a runaway tramp.
Well, they've just got the answers. And in these games, it's just incredible. When the opposition does something, your ability to come back and still maintain control. And that's exactly what they've done. And I might say it's just pressure again, though. It's just super pressure on. Cause that little bit of turnover. Osborne just gets it. And here's the difference again. The handball of Osborne was crisp. It was put out in the front of Brown, who just didn't have to change stride, ran towards goal. We've seen time and again, even this quarter, with Geelong intensely trying to lift, but the times they've missed handballs have gone to the feet of teammates, and any advantage you've got from that has been lost.
Hawthorne by 16 points. We're getting toward three-quarter time. Bounce in the middle with 3 minutes to play. Hard to win. Simon Taylor got a kick out of there, up in the air, but marked by Baczynski at half-back for the Cats. He looked right, he went left. Mackey's presenting for him at centre half-back. Where to next? Rook made a lead. Selwood low down. He did well to take the mark. Well back in the defensive area though. Selwood across halfway with a kick for Corey. Coming back to fight Ellis. Made the spoil cleanly. Knocked it there for Mitchell to claim. Hooks it around the body for Sewell. Genuflected down to take the mark. Kicks up the half forward. Osborne with the flight. Paddles it on for Franklin. Just needs to sit. It doesn't. Baczynski runs at him. Towed away by Bartell. Gathered by Osborne. Brown. Franklin against the boundary. Hit from the side. Stokes drags him out of play.
That's the sort of stuff that gets Stokes back into the game. Good hard hit. We saw him have a couple of good hits before here. He's back into it again. Well done.
Left forward pocket for the Hawks on the throw in. Mumford won the tap, not to advantage. Lewis had the ball. It was pinned to him and it'll be bounced. 25 out from the Hawthorn goal. They lead by 16.
Gee, Stokes took the wind out of Buddy. What a tackle that was. Bounce right in front. Up goes Mumford. Chapman underneath the pack. Absolutely swamped. The umpire will bounce again. 12-10-82 to 10-6-66. 16-point lead to the Hawks, who led by 14 at half-time. There's a blood rule here. Coming off the ground is Michael Osborne. So players have a chance to have a bit of a breather. Osborne will be replaced by Chance Bateman. Osborne set up that last goal for Campbell-Brown and gets a warm round of applause from the Hawthorn faithful, even the Hawthorn faithful. Ablett just kicked a goal, and he's come right back into defence to just stand to the side of this pack.
Oh, they know these last couple of minutes are terribly important, Geelong.
Taylor wins the hit out for the Hawks. Sharked by Selwood. Eventually, Tenace gets the hand pass to Wojcinski. Floats a hand pass to Hogan. Here comes Mitchell, and Mitchell smothers Hogan, and the ball goes out of play for a throw-in on the 50.
Well, it's predictable. That's the thing about Geelong. They're predictable. They know that they're going to run and do those type of things. So you can see the Hawthorn players take off even before they've given the handball, and they're there to pressure them straight away.
Tap comes to the front of the pack, and Selwood has it on his fingertips. He brings it in and kicks up the wing wide. Rare mistake. He's kicked it out on the full, looking for Hawkins.
Well, he's entitled to be a bit weary.
Murphy gives some ground on the restart to Roughhead. Places it up for Burchell. They look for a break toward the middle. The kick is going to be punched away by Joel Corey, but the Hawks have numbers there. Guerra got it from McGlynn. Closes to half forward. Kicks beautifully. And Lewis collects it.
Some weak efforts to tackle by Geelong, though.
Swings it out into the pocket. Bateman's his man. And he takes the mark. The Hawks with a late chance. The angle is about 45 degrees out to the right, but Chance Bateman is barely 25 metres out from goal. Just the one behind from a set shot earlier in the afternoon. Chance Bateman looking to bring up the biggest lead of the match. He's done it. It's Hawthorn by 22 in the shadows of three-quarter time. 13-10-88 to 10-6-66.
They're just wearing them down. They're hitting them harder. They're hurting them. As Stan said, they're breaking tackles, the Hawks. They've been outstanding in every way, shape or form, but they still can't shake off the Cats. They can't beat them off yet, and that's why good sides like the Cats will still keep coming at you. Do the little things well, and they are continuing to do that, the Hawks. Lewis has been sensational today, absolutely outstanding, in and under, working up forward and pushing forward. And some of the kicks in, Guerra from back pocket, sensational.
I did see a replay of a little incident, though, with Lewis. I think the match review panel might have a look at him. He's been a naughty boy in the past and was lucky a couple of weeks ago.
He plays on the edge, mate.
He does. Bounce in the centre, but a centre square infringement, and the free kick will go to the Cats to be taken by Mumford. They need a goal or two here. Hand pass away to Ablett. Fires the hand pass to Lonergan. He's cornered.
Tommy.
Back to Ablett. He's gone. Rioli lays a good tackle.
Lonergan.
It comes away to Bateman. Bateman's kicked one out his buddy. They both go to ground. Mackie and Franklin. Mackie gets some support from Enright. Back to Mackie.
Hurt his back.
To Milburn, and Milburn kicks to Selwood, who's had a remarkable third quarter. The mark, the hand pass to Mumford, back to Selwood, who was in no position to take it. Lewis lays the tackle, but it's high, and Selwood will take the free kick at half-back for the Cats.
Selwood just hanging on to the footy. Seconds tick away. It was Franklin who seemed to hurt his back. Selwood's kick hasn't found a teammate. Mumford crashes through. Hand pass to Hogan. Gave it to Chapman. He was hot. Mitchell dragged him down. Three-quarter time has reached. The Hawks are full of the vim and vigour of victory at the moment. They lead by 22 points at the final change. They kicked 5 goals, 3 for the term. The Cats added 4 goals, 1. It's 13-10-88 to 10-6-66. For Hawthorn, Franklin has booted 5, Roughhead 2, singles the rest, Lewis, Osborne, Bateman, Rioli, Brown 2? Yep. Yes, Brown 2. And for Geelong, 2 each to Mooney, Hawkins and Rook, with 1 to Selwood, Ablett, Chapman and Ling. Three-quarter time at the MCG. It's Hawthorn by 22 points. This is Grandstand AFL on ABC Local Radio, Radio Australia.
Gerard, Harry Taylor effectively had a fitness test at three-quarter time while all the players were in talking to the coaches. Taylor was to the side, had a bit of a kick of the footy and spoke to the medical team. He's gone back to the bench. I doubt he'll come back on. What his injury is, I'm really not 100% sure. I think it is a sort of a groin injury, but they were looking around his abdominal region as well. So that means really Geelong down at 2 on the bench. Hawthorn has a full quota.
Selwood had 15 possessions in the third quarter.
It's the Hawks by 22. It's going to take something truly special from Geelong from here. Final term is underway. Mumford against Simon Taylor in the ruck. The bounce is a good one. Mumford wins the tap. McGlynn came off the wing, almost took it. Birchall did off half back, but Ablett dragged him down.
The Hawks were $3.50 at quarter time. They're now $1.15.
Selwood got put down just away from the stoppage as the bounce was set down. Coming through as Lewis wins it definitively for the Hawks. The kick is in the Franklin direction. Mackie is in front. Neither marked. Enright is there and he's under huge pressure from Franklin, who ties him up, sits on top of him. Umpire's going to bounce it. Lewis put Selwood down and just off the play there into each other again. 50 out from the Hawthorn goal. Mumford just swipes it clear, but Mitchell read it. He's there to collect. Put the Hawks deep inside the 50. Roughhead didn't have a run at it. Bartel actually had the best chance to mark. He didn't. Vajinsky got caught. A bounce, 25 out.
Couldn't believe that, Jared. Mackie had a chance to tackle. And was it Mitchell? And he just let him run off on his own. It was a joke.
Deep forward for the Hawks. Mumford again the tap. Ablett pulls the footy out. Hand pass to Varco. Back to Ablett. Hand pass is loose over the top and it's coming back. Birchall to Lewis. Kicks across half forward. It's marked by Sewell. He goes wider to release Guerra. He marks at the 50. Can't run on.
He can make this.
He can. And Luke Hodge is telling him to have a go. Brent Guerra with the mark set on the digits. Painted out on the left. Guerra trots in. Gives it his best from 53. He's missed the target by 27 metres.
It's funny when you put goals there, isn't it? Yeah, in the back line, you just can nail them everywhere. You put those 4 posts up.
Out on the full.
Gee, if Lewis has knocked Selwood to the ground, he's got to be careful. He's a terrific player, but as you say, he does play on the edge.
Cheers, that kick too.
Kick in, and from the free kick. And the mark is taken by Ellis for Hawthorn.
And then Milburn puts his hand up and apologised to his teammate.
Sorry.
Ellis sweeps the hand pass out wide. Guerra has another go. This time. Oh, what a kick. The last one missed by a mile. That one went through like a laser. Hawthorn 14-10. Lead Geelong 10-6.
Well, if they're not heartbroken now, that one really did put a knife through them. And Guerra's been sensational down back. He had a poor kick at goal a minute ago, but then backed up. Had a chance. Poor kick in. Terrible kick in by the Cats. And that cost you another goal. They can't win from here. There's just no possible way that they can kick a score big enough to win this game. They have got no hope in hell.
Mark McClure calling it a day.
You did get to the TAB, didn't you?
Just missed again.
Oh, gee.
Hawthorn by 28 points. The Dockers have kicked the first in the Derby. 1-1-7 to West Coast. 2 behinds. 9 minutes played in the opening 2. Bounce back in the middle of the MCG. There's a free kick. Some hanging on. It's going the way of Chapman. Lewis takes his time returning the footy. Chapman looks out the half forward. Hogan is made the lead. He takes the mark. They'd have to kick this from 50. Abbott drifts inside the attacking area. Hogan goes back the full quota. He's kicked 3 goals. There's 4 games coming to today. Set shots a pretty stern test from 52. Hogan made excellent contact and got it there. He made the distance with the metre to spare. The Cats answer, and they do live. They're 22 points down, 11-6-72. Hawthorn 14-10-94. We've gone 4 minutes of the final term.
Well, the big challenge, though, we can get carried away that the big challenge for the Cats is they've got to kick the next one, don't they? I mean, that's really what it's about. It's good for young Hogan. Look at times today. I think he's really struggled with the pace of the game. He's only a young fella. And it's not, I don't know if his leg speed, it's just that speed that's happened in this game where they just hit you so quickly. But that time he was able to run into space. One of the few times we've actually found some of the small players actually running, presenting targets. And he went back and it was a very nice kick on goal.
Bounce back in the middle. Mumford has a good long run at it and wins the hit out. Ablett roves. Comes to a dead end though. Hawthorne coming the other way. Birchall's hand pass out wide, chopped off. Corey hand pass to Varco. Varco's kick up to the forward pocket. Ling can't control the ball and it beats him over the boundary line, out of play for a throw in. 94 to 72. 22 the difference. Just 5.5 minutes gone last quarter. Taylor wins the hit out. Comes to Lewis. Hand pass away to Birchall, who finds the captain Mitchell, who marks at halfback. Stabs the pass to the middle of the ground. Beautifully delivered. And Bateman takes that mark. Oh, he's not too sure. Gives an awkward looking hand pass up to Osborne. Back to Bateman. Near the centre. Kick by Bateman to half forward. Brown again takes the mark as Milburn slipped to ground and couldn't recover in time. Campbell Brown has done pretty well. He's kicked 2 goals straight today. And he looks like he's lining up for his third. He'll have to kick from about 52 metres at the city end. Away goes the ex-defender. He's got it high, hasn't got the distance. Goal square marking contest. Free kick to Geelong before the ball arrives.
And a 50-metre penalty. So it's Mackie. There's every chance it was against Franklin. Mackie has been his equal since being forced to him. So out to centre half back, sideways with a kick to Selwood. Hand passes over the top to Lonergan. The Cats attack half forward. Mooney's got 2 to beat. It falls to the back of them. Hawkins is in pursuit. Simon Taylor corrals him to the boundary. Backward goes Hawkins to Mooney. Drives it up to full forward. Ling has been kept well away from it by Hodge, and Lewis is able to take the mark without interruption.
They're the little things that actually make a difference in sides. Shepherding for your mate. Chipping in and just doing something. Don't get any stats for it, but your friends really love it.
Lewis is called to play on. Hand passes to Guerra in the back pocket. Changes direction to Ellis. Back to Guerra. Up the middle to Mitchell under pressure. Or hand pass is a bad one. Selwood gets in there, grabs the footy, brought down by Simon Taylor. Selwood's over it. Taylor's tackling him. The umpire will bounce at 15 out from the Geelong goal. It's got a little lost with the hand pass there, the Hawks. Thumped into the turf. Bartell's third man up, trying to get it to Selwood. Lewis was in his way. Tackles him to ground again.
He's got an appetite for the game, isn't he, Selwood? Whether he's got it or hasn't. Whether he's tackling or setting something up.
He's desperate to lift them, and I reckon he's enjoying the duel with Lewis. Bartell trying to come through. Varco did. Got it. Goal. 2 in a row for the Cats. 16 points down. 14-10-94, Geelong 12-6-78, 8 minutes ticking up, final 2.
That's why you love the Cats. They just keep coming at you. They are a class act. All of a sudden, Selwood keeps the ball inside the 50. Didn't get a kick, didn't get a handball, didn't get a mark, just kept it there for another ball up. All of a sudden, something fell their way, and Varco was the one who's the recipient of it. Really well done by Selwood. It's just sensational. No stats, but brilliant stuff to keep the ball in the forward line, give yourself one more chance, and they're still in the game. They're still coming. Can't knock them out.
Yep. Hamstrung by the absence of Scarlett and Taylor, but still in this contest. Haven't hit the midway point of the last quarter yet. 8.5 minutes gone. Margin 16 points. The bounce. Up goes Simon Taylor. Second forward for the Cats, up towards half forward. Bounces over Rook. It's taken here by Hogan. Hand pass away. And a shot by Corey from 45 metres. 3 in a row by the Cats. Boy, what a game. 10 points the difference. Hawthorne 14-10, Geelong 13 goals 6.
Well, Mark, you just said it. You can't keep them out of it. But I think that the classic thing for me was that then there's just a knock forward. But finally we had numbers running. And the players able to release the ball to Corey on the outside. And finally he's got some time and space. So we're not under enormous pressure. It was really given a handball with purpose, and he was able to go back and kick that. So 3 in a row. They look gone and dead for all money about 5 minutes ago, but now all of a sudden they're right back in it, and the Hawks have got a game on their hands.
Cats fans have found some voice in the terraces at the MCG. Mumford and Renoff to contest the ruck. Mumford wins the tap. Corey follows up. Hand pass in front of Stokes. He's onto it. He'll kick to the 50. Ling's in front. Hodge makes the spoil well timed. Wins a hand pass out to McGlynn. Got it off to Kennedy. The ball knocked away from him by Selwood. Rook with a hand pass to Chapman. To Bartell. Back to Virginski. They work it round on the wing. Corey to Milburn. Places the kick to half forward. Hogan marked. Gave it to Corey. Centre half forward. Stokes in the square. Lunges. Couldn't trap it. Ball rolls away from him. Through for Hines. Hawthorn's lead is capped to single figures. It's 9 points.
Gee, what a game. 22 points. Hawthorn's lead at three-quarter time. Shadows encroach across the ground, but the lights are on as Guerra kicks in for Hawthorn. A long kick, about 65 metres. Mumford hands to it, but can't take the mark. Comes to Kennedy. Gets the hand pass away to Mitchell. He puts it out wide. Ellis is there. And Osborne under pressure. Michael Osborne kicks one along the line. Sensational. Keeps it alive for Dowler. One out is Franklin with Mackie. They wrestle, and Franklin outmarks him.
Oh, it's too strong. Just mauled him. Osborne's work was fantastic, wasn't it?
Oh, brilliant. All right back at centre wing. He was outnumbered 2-1. Somehow got a little kick down the line, and Dowler was able to find Buddy. Buddy, he's kicked 5 goals straight. Kicked 5 against the Cats in round 1. He kicks from 48. He's given it a hook, and he's missed for the first time today. The Cats definitely still alive. 10 points the margin. Hawthorn 14-11 to 13 goals 7.
Kick in to Milburn. Hand pass back to Enright to Milburn. Under pressure on the last line. Milburn doesn't quite get it out. Kennedy makes the spoil. The Hawks come at it. Brown, a lovely little touch. Knocked it out there to Roughhead. Off to Dowler. Swings it near full forward. Rioli's in the pocket. Oh, he missed near side. He got it to his boot. The Hawks by 11.
Thriller, isn't it? Oh, the kick in is straight to Ellis, who marks inside the 50, goes the short pass to Roughhead. Hadn't gone 15 anyway, but Roughhead was spoiled. The Cats have it. Marco hand pass to Hogan. Hogan fumbles. They're under pressure here, the Cats. The umpire comes in, is going to ball it up.
I think you're very generous, Drew, if that was a hand pass.
Okay. Adam White.
Joel Selwood's come to the bench for the Cats, absolutely exhausted. He'll come back on, but gee, he needs this rest.
Oh, strike again.
Bartell, a hand pass to Varco, who was too close to him. He couldn't take it. It spills luckily for Chapman. Chapman's kick up towards centre wing, bouncing and wobbling about. Roughhead is there. Took a while to get hold of the footy. Hasn't got hold of it yet. The umpire's going to ball this up near the logo, centre wing. It is 11 points the difference. Hawthorn leading. And we've hit the 13-minute mark of the last quarter. The bounce, Bartell, third man up. Hand pass comes out from Corey to Ablett. Ablett's kick towards the 50. Hawkins taken underneath the ball by Murphy. The ball at the back of them. The only chance for the Cats, Stokes. Shields is there for Hawthorn. It spills to Hogan, who's taken over the boundary line, and will have a throw in. Crowd 64,803. And it's worthy of more than that. It's been a ripper.
45 out from the Geelong goal. Ball bobbles round. Corey's got it. Hand pass to Hogan. Swinging shot. Campbell Brown's the lone man back. He'll mark. Topples over in the defensive goal square. Has time to rise and run it out. 3 bounces to the defensive 50. Hand pass to Dowler. Back to Brown. Got away from Chapman. Kicked it up the wing. Franklin got rid of Mackie. Has the ball now. Mackie stays with him. Shields is in there offering support for the Hawks. Got it to Bateman. Kicks to half forward. Renoff marks. Here comes Franklin marauding through. Receives and kicks for Roughhead. Dropped it in the pocket. Just out of his hands. Had it spent. Gives his hand pass to Renoff. Mown down by Hawkins. The Cats survive at halfback. Enright works the hand pass out to Nace, Selwood, Varco, Ling, Mooney, all hand passes. Ablett's got to go with the ball back in hot dispute. Wins it out to Mooney. They're in the middle of the ground. Missed his target rook. Hodge got in the way. Hand pass cut off by Mooney. Tackled. Majinski brought down. It's for all the marbles now. It's a bounce. 50 out from the Hawthorn goal. 96 plays 85.
That's been a play. Oh, what a passage.
Oh,
wow. Sad thing is somebody's going to lose here today. Oh, well, we might get another draw like we had last week. Here's the bounce. Kennedy wins for the Hawks. Inside the 50 it goes. First back there, Enright for the Cats. Hand pass to Selwood, who might have had a break for a minute. He's caught by Rioli. The hand pass goes to the boundary line. The Hawthorn fans want a free kick for Rioli's tackle. Nothing doing, says the ump. It's going to be a boundary throw-in. Selwood, what a game. Here's the throw-in at half forward. Mooney in ruck, the whistle's gone. Oh, I think two umpires were going to
disagreed.
Opposite
the umpires, they did too.
Ray Chamberlain couldn't agree with his mate, but his mate wins, Scott Jeffrey. Cats free kick. Mooney takes it. Crossy goes to Milburn. Milburn to Burns at half back. And takes the mark. This game.
Oh, Ablett's put down.
McGlynn been there all day with Ablett. Burns runs around the man on the mark. Sweeps a hand pass to Milburn at centre half back. He kicks towards centre wing. Selwood again. What a game. Kick by Selwood for Ling. Awkward half volley. He's under siege, Cameron Ling. He's not doing much to get it out either. Well, Ray Chamberlain says, give it to me. 96 to 85, an 11-point lead to the Hawks. 16 and a half gone last quarter.
Eagles by a point in the Derby, 1-4-1-3 after 23 minutes. 60 out from the Geelong goal, knocked away of Kennedy for the Hawks to Mitchell, caught in a tackle. Hand pass to Simon Taylor, back to Kennedy. Across half back, that's the releasing ball. Brown is away, had a bounce, ran his full measure. Franklin one-on-one with Mackie. It clears the pair. Mackie stays in it. Franklin pulls the ball out of the pack, drops it to the left boot and misses. They have had a couple of chances now, 2 for Franklin and 1 for Rioli to put the Cats away. It's 2 goals neat at the 17-minute mark.
Well, Franklin had 5 straight until missed his last 2 shots. Clash of bodies in the middle of the ground. The crumbs come down Geelong's way. Corey gets the kick up. Hawkins gets the hand pass away. And Stokes runs into an open goal and kicks it. Matthew Stokes gets his first goal for the game. And the margin's 1 straight kick. Hawthorn 14-13, Geelong 14-7.
Well done, Matty Stokes. Fought yourself back into the game by some really good hard work. Doesn't matter how long you stay in this game, you've got a chance to win a football match if you just do the little things right. Matty Stokes was very poor early, actually atrocious early, and now he's actually worked himself back into it. And the Cats are 1 goal down. Can you believe it? They're like the best fighter going around, being punched for 11 rounds. And in the 12th, they're coming back and having a go. It's sensational.
Mark McClure called in the coroner, and the Cats have kicked 4 in a row. It's a goal to difference. Ablett takes his turn at the bench. Bounce in the middle. We've only got 18 minutes of the final term. Mooney is in there and he wins the kick away, and it's 2-on-2 inside the 50. It bounces back over a couple of heads. Burns came through, left the footy behind. Now he's trapped over it and he's tackled and he's gone. Made the first error when he didn't collect it. Tom Murphy comes out with a free kick for Hawthorn. He'll kick it out to half-back. Oh, it's gone. Stokes got in the way. Picked it off. Needs to choose the right option. Varco was open for a moment. Stokes instead goes to Selwood. He goes to Varco. The set shot is with Varco to tie the scores up.
I might have gone a bit early, Jared.
I know he's just come to the bench, but gee, I reckon Mooney made a difference going in the ruck and getting on the ball.
Great. This is a tight angle for Travis Varco in the left forward pocket. He'll kick it from 30 out. Varco delivers across the face of goal. It won't even make the distance. He kicked it that poorly. Just stabbed at it. Simon Taylor marks for Hawthorn. And the mark is set in the goal square.
Gives the hand pass away to Mitchell. Further hand pass to Kennedy. Not a great pass to Shields. He's under pressure, Shields. The Cats have a chance here. 35 from goal. Contest at ground level. Hawthorn fighting desperately, clinging to this narrow lead. Bursting out Varco. Jolted out of his arms. It comes back to him. He snaps across his body. Nobody in the goal square. Oh, but just getting back in the last line. Murphy for the Hawks. He kicks towards the boundary line. Bartel is there. The outside of his boot. He goes for a shot at goal. Out of bounds on the full. And Hawthorn breathe a sigh of relief. 97 plays 91. Hawks led by 22 points at three-quarter time, and the Cats without Kelly, Johnson, Ottens, Harley, and during the game they've lost a couple. In Scarlett, not a bad player, Harry Taylor, but they're coming back hard. They've kicked the last 4 goals.
Guerra thumps it back into play. Big pack formed. Sewell took the crumb. Hand pass to Osborne. Out and out of Renoff. Worked it up to Shields. Kicks beyond halfway. Franklin a strong mark. Ball jarred from his grasp by Enright. He was appealing for 50. Nothing forthcoming. Broadcast wing. Franklin squares the ball well to Sewell. Sewell will continue the switch to the middle. Mitchell has it. Takes off. Spearing ball for half forward. Missed all comers. Bateman slips over. Renoff went without it. Kennedy didn't. Kennedy out of the congestion. Kicked it across the face. Off the outside of the boot. Got too much curl. Handy point. The Hawks by 7.
He'd never kicked a goal, Josh Kennedy, and he went for one on the outside of the boot and kicked it behind. Ablett marks the kick in and goes short across the ground to Milburn. Sweeps a hand pass to Lonigan. Further hand pass to Ling. In he comes to Hogan. Hogan's hand pass wide to Lonigan. They're up near the wing already to Burns under pressure. And the ball's taken away from Burns by Murphy. Out of play, centre wing, Great Southern stand side. Hawthorn 98, Geelong 91. 21 and a half minutes played last quarter. What a game between last year's grand finalists. Throw in, Simon Taylor wins. Ball comes to Sewell. Hand pass to Lewis, hand pass to Mitchell. Mitchell's kick towards half forward. Bounces in no man's land. Roughhead tries to paddle it down to a teammate. Chopped off here for the Cats, Wojcinski. Comes back to Tenace. Up to Ling. Kicked by Ling towards half forward. Hawkins charges at it. Bounces off his shins. Goes to Mitchell of Hawthorn. He passes to midfield and Renoff takes the mark forward to the circles. He kicks into Mooney, who wasn't even watching. Ball spills. It's still inside the centre square and the umpire's going to ball it up. Take it over, Gerard.
Centre half forward for the Hawks is where the bounce will be whacked into the turf. Mooney coming up on the ball has been a lively influence for Geelong. He's racking against Renoff and he's winning it. There's no follow-up possession though. The ball is in dispute and to be bounced in the same place again. Simon Taylor actually rises from that, just grimacing. He'll go again against Mooney with Renoff for support. Renoff spikes it forward inside the 50. Milburn stood against it, left it behind. Ablett sweeps through for the Cats at half-back. Off to Tenace, out to Wojcinski. Gives his hand pass to Ling. Trying to get it up to the wing. Has a look, kicks it for Corey. Decides not to play on. Couple of steps short of the logo. Chips it over the top to nobody. Nobody was there. Birchall for the Hawks. Hand pass to Mitchell. Kicks it to Kennedy in the centre square. Delivers short. Sewell leans down and marks. A goal you fancy would finish it. Sweeping hand pass for Shields. He'll go deep forward. Needs a mark in the pocket. Reaching up was Renoff. Couldn't pull it down. Off hands, it's out of play in the forward pocket for Hawthorn. It's the Hawks by 7 points. 23 and 3/4 minutes played.
Throw in the forward pocket. Renoff wins the hit out. Comes to Selwood. Underground hand pass to Mackie. Mackie gathers. Hand pass away. Enright to Ling. Back to Selwood. Caught in a good tackle. Umpire said it was high. Fractionally was. Free kick goes against Simon Taylor. Selwood on defensive 50. 7-point lead to Hawthorn. 24 minutes played last quarter. Selwood a beautiful kick to Stokes, centre wing. Takes the mark. Hand pass to Burns. Burns down the line and Bartel. Chest mark 65 from goal. Stokes has run on past. Bartel goes long. He wants Rook. He's got a chance with Rook. He marks and plays on and goals. 3 goals to Max Rook. A point the difference.
Can you believe it? It's unbelievable, this game of football. They just keep coming at you, the Cats. You write them off, but you write them off at your own peril. They have just been outstanding. They are an absolute chance to win the premiership again. In their 3rd year of trying at it, they are a real chance. They are sensational. I've got no more words to say. They've come back. The Hawks are in trouble now. Big trouble. There's still 3 to 4 minutes to play in this game, and they could actually roll right over the top of them. That's their 5th for the quarter.
Hawthorne kicked the first. They led by 28 points. After a couple of minutes of the final term, the deficit is 1. 98 plays 97. 5 minutes to play. Ball in the middle of the MCG. Mooney and Simon Taylor. Taylor wins it for the Hawks. Hodge runs into Ablett. No possessions. Umpire to do it again. Security out to ring the boundary.
Yeah, it's a great game. Aussie football.
Almost 65,000 in to see it. The Cats have nearly clawed their way off the canvas. Can they complete the job? Shields takes possession. He's lying over it. The umpire says a bounce. Still in the wider of the 2 circles. The runners are out delivering messages on the time. There's plenty of it left. Chapman wins first possession. Hand pass to Stokes. Ran straight into a tackle. Released the footy he had to. Murphy and Selwood scrap over it. Selwood appealing for a free kick. The ball's held up at half forward for Geelong. They've gained 45 metres. Centre half forward. Bartell, 3rd man up. Ablett rises, didn't pluck it. Taken by Hodge. Kicks it out to the southern wing. Tenace in pursuit. Bateman got it. Hand pass to Franklin. Knocked it to his own advantage. Ran into a tackle. Hand pass to Rioli. Got caught by Enright. Ball fell off the boot. Bartell with a hand pass to Enright. Off to Lonigan. Cats at half back. Ling got it. Rioli's after him. Ling gets his kick away. Up over the top of Hogan. Shields and Hogan race back. Burns there as well. Ellis mishandles. Off his boot. It rolls out of play. Approaching half forward for the Cats. It's the Hawks by a point.
Could be a match-winning chase by Rioli. The boundary throw in. Simon Taylor works it down to Sewell. Hand pass to Ellis, who's collared by Mooney. Now will bounce it. 27 and a quarter minutes played. 1 point the margin. We called the draw here last Sunday. Might get another draw out of this. The bounce. Well, Taylor and Mooney both go to ground. A push by Taylor. Free kick to Mooney.
She's been significant, Mooney. He's actually enjoyed being in the game, hasn't he? Where he can get physical and run around rather than be frustrated to stay back.
Kick 2 goals as a forward. Oh, he goes for the spiral torpedo all the way to full forward. No mark. Ground level. Throw by
Mumford.
Mumford, the ruckman, playing role of Rover. Hawkins tries to reef it out of there. Can't clear the ball. It comes wide. Varco keeps it alive. Well done, son. Hand pass over his head. Rook fights like 10 men.
Gary.
Gets it to Ablett. Hand pass away to Bartell, who snaps up behind.
Oh, he couldn't see him. It didn't have a chance, but Mackie was in the square. But he did, in fairness to him, he just couldn't have seen him, and he had to have a shot.
Jimmy Bartell scores a level.
28 minutes gone. Hawthorne with a kick into Bateman. They now have to win at the Hawks. They can't save it any longer. 50 out from the defensive goal. Confronted. Bateman kicks to centre half back. Corey the spoil. Simon Taylor got it. Hand pass to Mitchell. Whacks it forward. Roughhead wrestles with Lonigan. It's at the 50. Kennedy up. Looking for a hand pass. Franklin run down by Mackey. The Cats win the ball back. Tenace out of fullback. Gives his hand pass away. Milburn's on the dash. Had a bounce. Kicked up the southern wing. Selwood took it on the bounce. The hero for the Cats. Hand pass to Chapman. Blazes it to half forward. They need a leaper. Bartell over the pack. He's taken the mark.
He's kicked into the man on the mark.
He played on and kicked it into the man on the mark. He was 70 out from goal. It's ricocheted out of bounds with the scores level.
He tried to get it to Varco. Was on his own there. Just tried to play on really quickly and just got smothered.
29 and a half minutes played. The throw in at half forward for the Cats. It comes down to Stokes, who rows near the boundary line. Over the boundary line he goes. Out of play, a boundary throw in. Geelong have stormed back into this game in the last quarter. And Kennedy had a chance to kick for goal, but a bloke who's never kicked a goal at AFL level gave it to Franklin, and Franklin was run down from behind by Mackie. Here's the throw in. It's bunted down. Comes to Corey. He loses control of it. Back into a pack. And now another ball up 55 metres out from goal. It's at Geelong's half-forward flank. Great Southern stand side. Lights on. Cool, crisp evening. 30 minutes tick past. Scores level in a crackerjack rematch of last year's grand finalists. From the bounce, it's going nowhere again. Gerard, take it over. See if he can get us past a draw. Can somebody win?
A score would surely win it from here. 30 and a half minutes. The Cats 60 out from goal on the bounce. Rook hooks it down. Sewell runs into a tackle. Selwood brought down by Mitchell. Ablett has it from 60. Gives it everything. It bounces in the pocket now to play. 5 metres around from the target. The field reconvenes. The Cats pushing desperately for the winning score. Tied up. Boundary throw in. 15 out from goal. Mumford tried to knock it forward. Slipped off his fist. Corey at the back. Frenzied stuff. Got the kick away. It's into the pocket. Bartell marks. Jimmy Bartell marks against the Geelong
runner. Look at the Geelong runner. Tell him to slow down. He's trying to give him the time.
If Bartell scores at the 31 and a quarter minute mark, the Cats will win. The siren is sounding. The siren is sounding at the MCG. Jimmy Bartell scores a level against the boundary. 25 metres out from goal. This would be one of the most heroic wins in the history of the Geelong Footy Club. Bartell to win the game. He has. He's won it with a behind. Inspiring, memorable, thrilling stuff from Geelong. From 28 points down, one of the truly great wins ever. Geelong 15 goals, 9.99. Defeat Hawthorn 14-98. The Hawks led by 22 at three-quarter time. Guerra kicked the opener of the final term to make it 28. Geelong kicked the next 5, and Bartell, after the siren, kicks the winning behind. Respect and admiration in the middle of the MCG. For two teams who know something about the main event, they have slugged out an epic. Geelong the right side of it at the close. Rook booted 3 for the winners. 2 each to Mooney and to Hawkins, with singles to Varco, Corey, Selwood, Stokes, Ablett, Hogan, Chapman and Ling. For Hawthorn, Franklin booted 5. 2 each to Roughhead and to Brown. 1 to Lewis, Osborne, Bateman, Guerra and Rioli. 99 beaten 98. The Cats, 2 men down, came from the clouds.
And look who's happy to be out there. Matty Scarlett and Harry Taylor, the 2 injured defenders who could play no part in the second half. More than happy that their teammates got them over the line.
Freo by 2 goals early stages of the second quarter in the Derby. 3-5 to 1-5 will give you more regular scores when things settle down at the MCG. We'll be in the rooms with the Cats. Adam White making his way there. Mark McClure, give us your verdicts. The Cats by a point.
Well, I made a massive mistake. It's a bit like Kingston Town and Bill Collins. called it couldn't win, and actually they can. They are just outstanding. We love them and love watching the way they fought to the end. They were mistake-ridden completely at the start, the Cats. They just made so many mistakes. They had so many poor players like Milburn, Stokes, Joel Corey, Lonergan, just continued to make a lot of mistakes. But you know what? I didn't care. It doesn't matter what you did in the first 3 quarters. It's what you do in the end and how you get over the line. And they got over the line by a nose. And they were just sensational. And the players we just talked about, Stokes was ordinary early but came back and really worked hard. Jimmy Bartell in the last quarter was outstanding in what he did. Shannon Burns and Travis Varco, who were ordinary at the start, continued to fight and work on. Sometimes you should learn about things, and today we learned another lesson. Never write off a champ, because these guys are on their way again to win their second premiership in 3 years. They were just spectacular today. They proved that don't let anyone tell you you can't do something, because you definitely can. They were just brilliant. Loved them. The Hawks, loved the way they played. Fantastic till 3/4 time. Then all of a sudden, I think they went a bit safe. Just started to go a little bit safe. Sewell, Mitchell and Bateman through the middle were great, just outstanding. Ellis and Murphy down back, Schollenmakers and Kennedy, the young kids of the side who've come in, showed that they can actually play. But you know what? Their season's almost over. Through a game like that against a side like the best side in the competition we've seen for some time, outstanding. They're out of the 8, almost out of the 8. It's incredible when you see it. They're not the 9th best side in this competition, I can assure you. They are fantastic. Buddy Franklin was outstanding up forward with Roughhead. Roughhead couldn't kick straight. There were some really good parts of that game that I loved. But the best parts were the little things, the tackling, the chasing, the pressure that was applied by every player on the ground. We should be proud of this. We sit in the best seats of the house here every Saturday. This is a marquee game in our industry. This is just an outstanding day of football. 65,000 people enjoyed it. There was 35 more we could have got in.
How did it happen, Stan?
Well, it did, because the Geelong players have got far more belief than we do. And there's no doubt about that. And Mark, I agree with you entirely. It was because of the fact that they had players who had been down all day. But I guess if one thing else, they wanted to be able to, when they walk in the rooms, to be able to look their teammate in the eye and say, no, I didn't let you down. I might have had a bad day, and I agree with you. The Stokes and Burns, Varco, Bartell, Joel Corey, who had an ordinary day, but in that last quarter went into the centre and just added some real grunt, and they dominated in there. And we'll talk about the great effort of Selwood today. Just absolutely superb, that young man. Rarely do you see somebody just try and take a game on like he did. I thought he was fantastic. Abbott as well. Ling just did a great performance in his job, and he was in there. But I've got to tell you that the significance to me was Mooney in the ruck and on ball in that last quarter. He just provided an unbelievable grunt. He looked forlorn. He took a couple of marks early, but looked as if he was totally out of the game. But thrust in the hurly-burly, I think he just absolutely thrived on it and gave him a great lift, and they came from nowhere. But to me, the significance of this, we won't know for a while, but I marked down 2 things. There are some times in a season when you do start to doubt yourself where you're at. And I think that we've seen that in the Geelong, their mindset, and it must have been there. It would have been amongst most people going into this game, certainly 3/4 time. And at the 2-minute mark when Guerra kicked that goal, we would have thought even more. But then to come back, that's the sort of game that you need to win. But I'll tell you the other part. They could have put a club out of the running. It would have been a serious threat to them. There's one thing they wouldn't have wanted, is they wouldn't have wanted the brown and gold to get there in the big day in September.
Let's get into the rooms.
This is very exciting, Jared. The Geelong boys very excited. Mark Thompson, I've never seen him so excited. A 1-point win at the MCG against one of your real rivals will do that to you. Here they go. Certainly no lack of enthusiasm with that song. Mark Thompson belting it out. He wasn't in the circle. He was off to the side with his other assistant coaches, but he was very, very excited. I'll throw back to you momentarily, and then we'll be back with Cameron Ling very shortly.
Couple of minutes to go for Northern Grandstand to sum it up. Geelong 15 goals, 9-99, defeating Hawthorn 14-14 at 98. The Cats with the kick after the siren to win it. 64,803 in to see it. And West Coast leading Fremantle by a point after 11 minutes of the second term.
Jared, can I just... sorry, Drew, just one little thing while I'm doing... A bloke needs a pat in the back. Mackey's performance.
Yeah.
Mackey's performance, they were depleted down there. He started on a wing. He's had to go and play on a rampaging Franklin, and I thought his efforts... Franklin took a couple on him, but by gee, I thought he stood up the best I've seen anybody against Franklin for quite some time. I thought his game was outstanding, Mackey.
Played him from in front.
Yes, he just made him honest.
Yeah, that's great.
Jimmy Bartell kicked the last 2 points, didn't he? A point to get him level and a point to win the game after the siren. He kicked awfully and he won the game.
There you go. Geelong by 1 point over Hawthorn. Amazing stuff. A chance for you to join us. We'll be straight back into the Geelong rooms in a moment. 1300 222 774 to add your thoughts to ours. What does it mean for today? What does it mean for the season? Because at three-quarter time, you would have drawn up a whole set of conclusions which are out the window now. As Mark mentioned, the battle is ahead now for Hawthorn to even make the finals. The Cats will rediscover their belief in that from a win from outright adversity. 1300 222 774 to join us in our post-match. Selwood had 42 possessions, 20 kicks, 22 hand passes, 11 marks. He was a man completely spent who just willed himself to everything.
He was probably BOG even when they were losing, but once they won...
Don't go off too early, Drew.
I've gone off early all day.
Selwood, inspiring stuff with 42. Franklin kicked 5 and there's that one moment where he got the ball from Kennedy and Mackey just jumped on him like a rodeo cowboy and hung on for dear life. The Cats got the turnover and went the length of the field. So for our Northern Grandstand audience, you've heard a thriller. Geelong by 1 point over Hawthorn. Into the Geelong rooms, Whitey.
Jared, we've got Cameron Ling here, who is just devouring some lollies. Now, 2 down on the bench, 28 points down early in the last quarter. You don't win those matches, Cameron.
No, that's one of the best wins I've ever been involved in. It was just gutsy, just hard, and I heard the boys just mentioning Joel Selwood there. He was absolutely amazing today. I think he just single-handedly just lifted the whole group with his intensity around the ball, and it's surprising that he's only in his third year. He's something pretty special, and all the boys did a great job. I mentioned Andrew Mackey as well. We thought he was fantastic down on Buddy, obviously with Harry and Scarlo down. Just a really great team effort today.
I was mentioning before with Joel Selwood that he was coming to the bench for his rotation and he was spent, but he could only spend a minute, 90 seconds before he had to go back out there because of your problems on the bench. It makes it even more extraordinary.
It does, yeah, and he's just that sort of guy too who will just keep willing himself to every contest and keep working hard even when he's exhausted. I think a lot's been said about him over the past 3 years about how fantastic he's been, how big an impact